All right. Let me just check the volume. I just want to make sure everything is working fine. So give me a moment here. And I'm also gonna put a fresh link in the chat. Um, so anyway, I want to start off with saying Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises and glories unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Yahweh, which is name of the Most High, and Yahweh Shai, which is the name of the only begotten Son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. Um, and this is just going to be an open mic tonight. Don't necessarily have a in particular, topic I wanted to discuss. Um, but man, man, I'll tell you, I was catching hell lately, man. As I said, some of these guys out here are more fortunate, man. They ain't catching as much hell. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, see, we got mine. I got it in the chat. Hey, man, click that link. Which I had. I do want to say this. Some brother reached out to me. He sent me a message on Gmail, and he asked to have a debate or a discussion about I believe he said three topics. He wanted to discuss the Trinity. He also wanted to discuss who the Israelites are today, and then he also wanted to discuss the topic of let's see, what was the last topic? Oh yeah, is salvation for all nations. Right. So, I'm not sure if he's going to join us today. I told him, hey, if you see the stream, feel free and click the link and we can talk about it. But I told him that we'll definitely work out a time in the future to have a discussion on it. And also, I hooked up with what's that guy? Faithful Servants of Christ, right? And we were talking a little bit. And right now he has a tight schedule, right? He for the next couple weeks he probably won't be able to do a show with us, but then we agreed to eventually, him coming on and having a discussion with us. That brother teaches a lot of whacked out stuff. He's teaching, that white Jesus, that everybody can be saved, right? That hell is real, that Babylon's Vatican City. That we got to talk to him about all those things, right? So that would make it very, may I say, interesting conversation. So we'll definitely work with him, try to work that out. And then also I had another brother who reached out to me. I believe the brother's name was More Than a Flame, and he wanted to come on the show and to discuss the topic of partial preterism, right? Which he says he wouldn't consider himself a preterist, but I'm not sure what to call his viewpoint. The best word I could use would be partial preterism. Okay, basically, and I see mine of God in the back chat. I'll bring you on in a minute here, so just give me a moment. Um, but yeah, as I was saying, I'll consider him a partial preterist because he basically says that Christ already returned. I see we had somebody in the back chat. They dropped out, so click that link again, and I'll bring you on. Let me see. Yeah, I got notified again, but now I don't know what's going on with it. Maybe the brother's hitting the exit button on accident, or something might be up on my end. I'm not sure. Let me see. Let me try to, maybe if I put another link in the chat, it might work. I don't know. Let me just put that in there, and then we'll get right into the show. Inside joke. All right. There's a fresh link in the chat, so you can click that and you can come on here with us. Um, yeah, going back to what I was saying, dealing with oh, let me bring my God. Hey, my God, what's going on, man?
Hey, TT, sorry, man. I just had to switch my avatar. What's up?
And I'm surviving. I'm surviving. How about you?
Not bad. Just played some golf. Had a nice coffee. Just relaxing.
Yeah, yeah, man. I hear you, man. I hear you. You know, that's good that you enjoy golfing, man. I mean, I actually used to teach near a golf course. You might have remembered those videos where behind me you might see the golf carts going by. I used to teach around one of those last
In
year.
Florida?
So yeah, in Florida there was a golf course. It was near to where I lived, so I would go down there
Yeah,
and record my videos out there. That was a pretty
that's
nice
cool.
little place, right?
Yeah, do you feel the need to be on the streets now, or do you just do mostly YouTube stuff?
I once in a while I'll try to get on the streets, but the problem I have right now is I don't own a vehicle of my own, so I am limited, where I can travel. So when I find places where I can go to stand and teach, I'll do that. But
Yeah,
primarily the Lord set up YouTube for us to teach on, right? So I pretty much just use YouTube. But yeah,
yeah.
if I can get out there on the streets, then I will, record if I'm able to do so.
I used that argument with GMS years ago because they're like, "Oh, where do you teach? Like, let's show me where do you teach at?" And I'm like, "Well, the internet is the information superhighway. There's a lot of reach on YouTube, so it's a
Yeah,
fair
yeah,
argument."
absolutely.
Yeah,
Right, because say for an example, I mean YouTube has much more reach than it does to just standing on the street corners and talking with people, even though you might compel a couple people by doing that. But
yeah,
really the way you get a bigger audience is by using YouTube. And I can personally testify to that. How did I come into this truth? By way of YouTube. If it wasn't for YouTube, then I probably would never even know that there was such a group that calls himself the Hebrew Israelites, right? And I mean, hell, me and Mighty God would have never met, right? And none of us would have known anything about it, any of us. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
But the Lord set up YouTube for that. Go ahead.
It's funny, man. I actually walked past the Hebrew Israelites before I ever knew what they were. I just assumed it was just some rally. You see a lot of protesting in New York when you walk around the city. I just assumed it
Right.
was like something like that. And it's just funny. Maybe that was 6 years ago. It's amazing how full circle it's come. Now I know what they're about, and all that. But you're right. I mean, if I didn't go and stop and see them because they just sounded like they were out of their mind. But now we know, what they're teaching. But it's I would say the internet definitely is important because you can study it in the the comfort of your apartment or place, and then you can share the links back and forth. Like, hey, check this out. When you got time. So it's useful.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And even another thing as well, which is what we're doing right now, right? A live show, right? YouTube has these things live streams where people can come on and actually talk to each other, right? So
Hmm.
that's and that also proves that we're in those times too, because the scripture said that in the last times knowledge will be increased, right? So we're in a time right now where you can call somebody that literally lives on the other side of the plane. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's truly an amazing thing if you think about it. If you would have told somebody that, let's say 100 years ago or 150 years ago, they'll think you're crazy for that. But here we are today. I have a device in my pocket which I can pull out and call somebody that lives, say 3,000 miles away. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's amazing. It really has to be, it's for a divine purpose. And then there's also aspects of it that are evil, of course, like, spying on people, all the different
Right.
censorship that we all know of. So it's kind of a mixed blessing. But yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, I started from YouTube as well. I can't remember how Russian vids was recommended to me, but it's definitely the first video that I saw that was about flat Earth for sure. So maybe I think it's because I was watching Alex Jones. That's what it was. And then then you're into conspiracy, so they recommend maybe Russian vids, something like that. So
Yeah, yeah, man. I remember, back when the flat Earth topic was, pretty popular, which I believe it was about what, maybe about 5 years ago now, at least 4 years, when it was very popular and everybody was talking about this whole flat Earth thing, right? That's the cool guys know about that, right? So I would sit there for like say 8 hours a day, and I would literally watch the live streams, right? Because people back then they used to do live streams for hours on end, 10 hours, 8 hours on end. where they'd
Hmm.
invite people on, to talk about it, which I didn't really join them. I would just sit back and listen to arguments on both sides. And I did
Yeah.
that for an entire year, where literally day in, day out, I would just sit there and watch flat earth videos, right? Occasionally some GMS videos, but for a whole year, I really sticked on the whole flat earth thing
Hmm.
so I could, research that, right? So, hey, I was totally, convinced about it, after watching, you know, say 1,000 videos, a couple thousand videos, whatever I could get my hands on.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's my story with that. As I first came into it when it was, pretty much trending. Now
Hmm.
somebody pointed out that if you go on YouTube and look up the flat Earth, whether you're looking for something that promotes it or against it, the only thing you're going to find are videos that are debunking or disproving it. You're never going to find videos that are actually interesting, that are going to be recommended. You got to look deep to be able to find those. Have you realized that?
Yeah, the shadow banning kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've noticed that. I'm subscribed to a financial guy, Gregory Manarino. No, not super controversial, but a little bit. And I've noticed he doesn't show up in my feed all the time. And same with RV Truth when I was subscribed to him. Uh, yeah. I mean, I'd have to go and search his name. You know, I mean, with your channel, I got the bell icon. I get 10 emails, and then the bell rings on my phone, so I know to come. So with yours, but every other one, it gets shadow banned.
About I believe it was called Reincarnation and Rebirth or something like that. Did you get a chance to watch that yet?
Sorry, man, I missed the first part of the question. It cut out. I just heard reincarnation.
Let me see. Uh, is everyone able to hear me?
Now I can.
Okay, okay, yeah.
It's just cutting in and out, man.
Okay, hold on a sec.
Okay.
All right, is that better?
Yeah, I can hear you. It's
Okay,
just cutting in and out.
okay. Let me see.
Wait, can I read a
I'm
verse
hoping that
related to what we were talking about? This is relevant.
go go
Revelation
ahead.
11:9, and they of the people and kindreds and tongues and nations shall see their dead bodies 3 days and a half, and shall not suffer their dead bodies to be put in graves. And so Revelation 11:9 is prophesying telecommunications. I'll just wait till ETT gets back.
All right, I'm back now. Can you hear me?
Hey, what's up? Yeah, I can hear you. It's very low.
All right, yeah, yeah, man. I'm not sure what's going on with
Now it's
that.
good. Now it's good.
All right, yeah, yeah. But anyway, before I went off, I asked I was watching Eric Dubay did a video about a
Oh,
reincarnation
yeah, I
and
saw that.
rebirth. Did you see
Yeah.
that?
No, I'm going to watch it though. I made a note. He must have watched my video on reincarnation because he just follows what we do. You know what I mean? I'm just kidding. Did you see
And
it? What did he
I
say?
watched the video. I watched the video and basically what it was doing is giving I believe he mentioned like 5 or 6 compelling stories,
Yeah.
of people around the world who proven that they really did live past life by, going and meeting the people, by name. They know them. They
Yeah.
know where, their past house was. And by doing the research on the house, you can confirm that the people actually live there. Very interesting stuff, man. I highly recommend you watch that video when you're able to. I believe it's a half an hour long, but it's a very good video.
Yeah. I mean, I find his voice kind of boring, but I think he's very spiritual. He knows a lot of things. You know, I remember I asked him years ago in the chat about the microchip, and he's like, "Yeah, in my book, I speak out against microchips." This was back when I thought that was it. So, I mean, he's got an interest in the Bible. So, somebody who makes strong statements like he does about Jesus, then he's got to know things. I'm not saying it's right what he's saying, but he's I mean, he's not there by accident is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, yeah, and
Yeah.
I'll definitely give him credit where it's due because as I said, I recommend his book that he did. I believe he has a couple books, but the one that I read, right, the Flat Earth Conspiracy, which I highly recommend everyone read that book. It's a very good book, but I'll give him credit. but it also will take some credit away because one topic he did speak about in the book was he said that dinosaurs never existed. And we can talk
Hmm.
about that a couple minutes because it's like, well, wait a second. Well, what about these the Inca stones, right? Those are stones that are 1,000 years old that show man and dinosaurs on them. And these dinosaurs are clearly in such detail where you can't tell me, well, they just found the bones of these creatures and imagine what they look like. You know what I'm saying? Which, if
Hmm.
anybody doesn't know what the Inca stones are, just type that into YouTube and watch some of that. You're gonna see it's very interesting. But mind of God, what are your thoughts on that?
Uh, dude, I'm not even kidding. I've not looked into that ever. Like, I'd be inclined to say, whatever a person would take on the biblical end of it. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of the same with the legal age. I would side with you, not because I've researched it, but what you says makes common sense, about the body and, the physiology. So
Right.
probably the same with dinosaurs. I would lean towards the one who makes the argument from the Bible. I'm not sure if that's what you're doing, or you're doing it based on archaeology
Right, right.
purely.
I'm let me say this. You can take it either way. They are
Yeah.
in the scriptures, but also in archaeologically. I hope I pronounced the word correctly, but going by that, it also can be proven, right? So I'm bringing mention of these. You have figures that they found by doing their digs. They have stones they found, and the question is, well, if these things did not exist, it's like, well, how did these people back then know how to illustrate them in their artwork on these stones? And when
Hmm.
you ask them that, it's like, well, they've got to conclude, well, the Illuminati just went around and placed all those there. It's the same thing with these dinosaur bones. I mean, you can actually go and see these things being dug up. Oh, but the Illuminati went and they planted all of those all over the world just to fool people. I mean, it's like, what do these guys? They. It's like I don't even know what to say
Yeah.
to a statement like that. It just doesn't make any sense. So you're telling me that they made these fake bones and went all over the world and just planted them under the ground so 100 years later or 50 years later somebody can come and dig it up and think they found a dinosaur? I mean, it
Yeah.
just doesn't make any sense. I'll throw it back to you.
Yeah, I mean, we know the scriptures are the scriptures for our movie, right? The Genesis, the beginning, but there could have been a script by the Most High prior to this. We know it's after the kingdom, so I'm not debating that, but we don't know, like, and that also supports reincarnation because our souls are not like, they don't just disappear. So we don't know what roles we played or what civilizations existed prior to ours. The Bible doesn't it tell us explicitly. So I'm not gonna say I know, of course, but yeah, I mean, who knows? I'm not even just dinosaurs. I'm talking about even prior to the quote Adam and Eve account, right? We don't know. There
Yeah,
could,
yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. That's a they have a theory out there. They call them the pre-Adamites, right? That basically there was
right, right. I've heard that.
people who lived before that. Now, whether that's true or not, I couldn't say because that's not mentioned in the scriptures. But with that being said, there's not enough proof to be able to refute such as a teaching. So stuff like that, we really don't know because according to our history that we have, we only have about say 6,000 years of human history. But beyond that point, nobody knows what the hell was going on beyond 6,000 years. Which another topic as well that could be interesting is dealing with the age of the earth, right? And according to my knowledge, when I've read the scriptures, the earth is about, as of today, right, going from the time of creation to today, the
Yeah.
earth will be about 12,500 years. The reason why, because Christians will be on there saying, well, the Lord has a 7,000 year plan, right? The earth is 7,000, well, 6,000 years old, but the Lord's going to return before it's 7,000, something crazy like that. But here's
Hmm.
the thing, though. Each day of creation, right, the 7 days, they say those were 7 literal days. That's not true because we know that
It
one
can't
day with
be.
the Lord
Yeah, it
is
can't
as
be.
1,000 years. So each day in the creation was actually a 1,000 year period. So it was a period of 7,000 years that took in place on. I'll throw it back to you.
Well, I mean, it can't be because he's making the sun and all that. So it's like that's what we define as a day, right? I guess the rotation of the sun, one circuit, right? So how can you have a day when you're making those things that govern the day? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't.
Right,
That's
right.
strange that people say it's. I've heard good servants say that recently. Good servant's a
Oh,
genius. So I'm like, how the hell dude, how do you have 7 literal days, bro? Why don't you do a live
right.
stream on that tomorrow? Not you, I'm talking to him if he hears this. Stupid.
Yeah, yeah, which I know he's been listening to our shows. Which, as I said, good servant. We just want to, we want to bring you on and we can have a friendly discussion. And I know he's been listening because at one of his shows a while, I want to say maybe a couple days ago or a week ago, he mentioned
Yeah.
something we were talking about. So that they're watching us, which that's good. That's all good. That's how you learn, is by listening to us. But the thing is, right? Going with that, an atheist, I saw somebody mention, well, how could the Bible be true if it says on this day that the Lord made the sun? Well, wait a second. How could how could days happen if the sun wasn't even there? So he used that to say, we'll see. Well, that proves that the book can't be true. What are your thoughts on that?
Sorry, say that once more. What was the question? I'm looking for a verse, but I'm still listening.
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
the atheist said that the verse that speaks about the sun being made proves that the book can't be true because how did he have other days without the sun being there?
I've heard that actually, dude. I did a flat Earth debate years ago. One of my first ones with this. He was a pretty nice guy. I think it's still on my channel. We were both new to the debate, and he's like, oh, I could debunk the Bible in Genesis, and I know he would use an argument like that. And I was like, whoa, damn, dude, that's pretty heavy, man. So that's what they would do. They become. It's funny because when you talk to a Bible non-literalist, which is obviously like an atheist, then they'll take the Bible literally, right? Then they'll read it to us literally. And then you start reading the Bible literally to a person, and then they'll become a Bible non-literalist right away. No, oh no, just kidding, all that kind of stuff. So that's convenient for
Yeah,
sure.
would actually be a good person to bring on the show with us. You might know who this is, and if you can, look to him up on YouTube and reach out to him. His name is
Tahar,
uh,
Apostle
Neff.
Tahar.
Hey, one even better. His name is Nephilim Freed. Do you know who that is?
No, I've never heard of that.
Okay, well, basically, he's a frequent talker on the channel Modern Day Debates, and basically
Yeah.
he knows a lot. But here's the thing, he does argue for creation against evolution. I watch all his videos on that because he's a very good job. But here's the one thing, he teaches that the Earth is a globe, though. So you might want to reach
Hmm.
out to him and see if he'd like to have a discussion with us because he's a very intelligent man. But we could really engage in a conversation
Well,
because
dude,
he subscribes to that Christian
I got a
doctrine.
poignant question for you in line with that actor stuff that I was talking about. Do you genuinely take a ball earther seriously this late in the game? Just give me a non-political
Well,
answer. Do you really take a person who's a ball earther seriously in terms of
well,
spirituality? Yeah.
I would have to answer that question this way because you know a lot of people never really even been exposed to the idea that the Earth is not a globe,
No, no,
right?
no. That's
Because
not what I
as
talk
we
about.
see,
No, just to clarify, I agree with you. They're not people who are ignorant, because there's lots of people that are ignorant. I'm not saying that. Somebody who's out there, and if you ask them and then they're serious about it, let me reword the question. That somebody who's
um,
aware of it.
well, let's see. I would say that there are some people who could truly be genuine that just see it differently. That could be true.
Yeah.
But with that being said, I do, of course, think that when you look at all of the information, it really is at this point, hard to deny. So,
Yeah.
you always would have to,
Right.
look at somebody a little differently, like, oh, that guy thinks that we're all floating upside down. Right. So it's different for one who never heard of it, but for one who did,
Yeah.
then you got to take them with a grain of salt. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Agreed. I just wonder. I know that there are a lot of people that you're affiliated with who are ball earthers, but I was just wondering, as you personally, when you're entering a debate, that's what I meant, not to try and start beef, with people. Just if you yourself are approaching somebody, that's why concave. Like, I'm not saying I don't know we don't know if everything that he says is crazy. We don't know, because he may actually say something correct in the midst of whatever he's talking about the concave Earth. So, I take him. I mean, I obviously, like, I found that funny. Don't get me wrong, but a ball earther, like somebody who thinks the Earth spins and flies. I mean, and they're serious about it. I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know what to say to that person right now. So,
Yeah, yeah, man. It's crazy because it's like like say for an example, I'm looking out the window here at a patch of grass, right? A yard of grass here. And it's like, well, wait a second. How could we be spinning 1,000 miles an hour if the grass is literally completely still? Once in a while, there might be a little breeze that comes through that moves it. But
Yeah.
it's like it just doesn't make sense. So what they'll do is they'll say that the atmosphere, right, all of us and everything in it, we're all revolving around with it, right? So the movement isn't clear. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Exactly. Exactly. I mean, we don't know the exact shape, like per se, but we know we don't move. So that's enough for me personally. But I mean, is it flat? Are we flat on top of a ball sitting in space? We don't know. It could be all those things, but we know. I know. I mean, water doesn't have a desire to bend, and that's for me. That's enough. I mean, all those debates. It's funny. I went into all those debates. You said you watched all those videos, and then all of it comes down to the fact that this building that I'm in, I realize now it doesn't move, and then that's enough for me. So it's incredible. All those hours and hours of videos and debating. Dude, I got a good verse for you, man. I'll read this in line with
Go ahead.
reincarnation. And I want people to know just because we're teaching that doesn't mean that we know everything. It just means that that's one of God's judgments. It's amazing. Ecclesiastes 11:5, as you do not know the way the spirit comes to the bones in the womb of a woman with child, so you do not know the work of God who makes everything, good and evil, for all those people that are still stuck on the fence on that. So I may do a live stream soon with that, but it's
Yeah,
too easy.
that's a great verse, man, because if you really think about that, it's like, and this goes into the whole evolution thing, is it's like, well, wait, how does a pile of, well, I won't use that word, but how does a pile of we'll say white stuff inside yolk just become, how does it just grow up and become a living human being?
Right.
Nobody knows that. It just happens,
Right.
but nobody knows. You know what I'm saying? So that's truly,
It's
an
statistically
amazing thing.
impossible, is what you're trying to say, right? It's like
Yeah,
that would never
absolutely.
happen in math, right? That's insane.
Right.
It's like, yeah, okay, you mix two chemicals and then eventually a human is going to grow. Really? You expect us to believe that that's just random?
Oh, and remember that all happened by chance, though. The fact that there's and we can talk about the whole evolution here. That's a good topic. But remember, all this happened by chance. It's like, well, wait a second. How could there, even if there was one organism that formed, right? Well, where could the second organism come from? And not only that, but
Yeah.
how can they both be able to reproduce between each other to make another organism?
Yeah.
Obviously, that could not just happen, by magic, as Larkin Rose would call it, right? Because Larkin
Yeah.
Rose, he doesn't know. Larkin Rose said, I don't subscribe to the theory of evolution. I definitely do believe that the Earth was intelligently designed. If you ask him by who, he said, how the hell do I know who
Yeah.
did it? But I can tell you that, I don't know who did it, but somebody definitely did. So, I will definitely respect his, viewpoint on that, that at least, even though he doesn't subscribe to the skip cheese, you can at least respect that he, hey, he's telling the facts that, hey, look, even if we don't agree who made this place, to pretend that this place wasn't divinely made for us, that's just ridiculous. I'll throw it back to
Yeah. I think that, that's the power of the flat earth, is that it doesn't make it a debate anymore. That's why it really is such a buzzkill, really, for a lot of things on earth and a lot of arguments, because the flat earth cuts a lot of things, because it doesn't prove that the God of the Bible exists, but it proves a God exists for sure. Because no one, it's funny, people will look at a flat stationary earth standing there and they'll be like, okay, of course that was made by somebody. But then they'll look at like what we said about reproduction and they'll be like, oh yeah, well, that can happen, with statistics. I was like, are you kidding me? It's the same thing. Like, it's all of it statistically impossible without a creator. But I mean, yeah, I mean, the flat earth absolutely proves it. But
you. And the crazy thing is this, is and I know from my, years of watching discussions on this, that you still have people out there who they do subscribe to the flat earth, but they say that, well, there's no God, right? So the earth is flat, but the earth, it just, everything evolved, right? There's no God, but yet they
yeah,
still say the earth. Right? It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I mean, if the Earth was a ball spinning and all that, like, I don't know, I'd probably go along with this narrative if I liked being here. You know, like, let's say I had a wife and kids and money and all that. Like, I don't know, I'd be like, whatever. If I needed to, I would go along with it because I wouldn't worry about the God of the Bible existing because he did not make that Earth, and so he wouldn't exist. And if he did something, I wouldn't care, kind of thing. So that's why a lot of us are really deep into the Bible. Lots of people. So, and that's good. I'm saying that that's amazing because it essentially proves it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
amazing.
absolutely, man.
Yeah.
And it's another thing as well you got to look at it is what about the sun and the moon? How is it that these two, bodies in the sky, right, that they just appeared there, right? And all life on Earth they need at least the sun, they need it in order to
Exactly.
be able to go, right? So
Yeah.
so how could all of this just happen by, as Larkenose would call it, magic, right? How can all this just happen? And
Yeah.
nobody knows that. They'll say, like, these guys that talk about, what evolution is a scientific fact. It's like, okay, then you ask them a question such as, well, at what point did fish hop out of the water and not die within 5 minutes, but then develop the ability to live and breathe on land? And you ask
Mhm.
them that, and if you look in the textbooks, no, there's no mention of that. They just hope nobody asks that question because nobody knows how to answer that. You know what I'm saying? I'll throw it back to you.
Yeah, I mean, it's I think for us it's I don't know, like, we're basically in the weeds, kind of like what you in your last video. I mean, there's too much going on, man. It's like there's too much evidence for the Bible at once. The flat earth was a big starting, and then all the stuff we see going on. I think that's loosely paraphrasing the title of your last video. And it's true. It's like there's literally too much going on. We can't even process all this
Hey,
kind of
just
thing.
like you have a guy's channel out there, he calls himself "The Truth is Stranger Than Fiction," right? So, hey, look, I'll just go with that. Hey, look, what's going on right now? This is truly, we're living in a science fiction movie, is what we're living in. That's just the best way to put it. We're living in the worst case scenario right now. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
exactly. Yeah,
This is
exactly.
just this is as we were saying, right? This is hell, right? We're living in hell right now. We're in the worst case scenario right now, right? We're living in a scientific horror movie, is what we're living in right now. I'll throw back.
Yeah, one thing I'll read First Ezra 4. The earth is vast and heaven is high, and the sun is swift in its course, for it makes the circuit of the heavens and returns to its place in one day. And so Ezra knew that the sun runs its circuit. So did Joshua. So we're coming back to the knowledge essentially of the Creator, and He's waking us up, in different ways. But the flat Earth is one of them. The absurdity of evolution is the other. We can just make fun of it now because it's ridiculous. We can make fun of a lot of
But yeah,
science now.
sorry to cut you
Yeah.
off, man, but I had to throw in there, even though we can say that, these guys are coming on saying, well, evolution is a scientific fact. Anybody that doesn't believe it must be willfully ignorant. What would your response be to those people who say
I
it's a
got I got a
scientific fact?
perfect verse for that. I think you know which one I'm going to quote. 1 Timothy 6:20 for numerology people. That's 26:26:66. 1 Timothy 6:20. Oh Timothy, keep that which is committed to thy trust, avoiding profane and vain babblings and oppositions of science, falsely so called. So that's so called science. Real science. And Dekun quizzed me on what science was, and I was like, "It's knowledge. It's to know what did the Israelites know? They know that God exists. Because God visited them. God visited their womb, in Mary, so they knew that God exists, and so everything else is false. Evolution and the statistics created this. They knew that God created all this, so we're just coming to this knowledge now. It's amazing. Like, we're waking up, so to speak. But yeah, I mean, I would say
Yeah,
that it is
yeah.
science, but it's falsely so called science.
Hey, the scriptures say, what, that in Romans, the first chapter, we can know that the Most High exists, right? The invisible things of the Most High, he exists because, first of all, the name Yahweh, right? It means that he is. And that goes, what is that? That's Exodus, the third chapter, which that's a different topic. But there's a verse that says, what, a fool has said in his heart that there is no God, and
Exactly.
that's what these guys will have you think. that, everything it just came into existence. You ask them certain questions like, well, at what point did say animals that dwell on the land, at what point did they grow wings to be able to fly? And they can't answer that because
Right.
first of all, you have to have a fully developed wing for it to work, right? For an example, you cannot fly an airplane with half a wing. There has to be a full wing there for it to
Hmm.
fly. So the same thing with a flying creature, it has to have a full pair of wings for it to be able to fly. It can't just develop over time and just like magically. No, it has to be
Yeah.
there, right? So it's very clear that all these creatures were intelligently designed to be the way they are. It couldn't happen, just by blind chance. I'll throw it back to you.
Yeah, I mean, and then it basically means that we're not intelligent, like it basically they're saying that we're not causal, like we don't have cause and effect in our own life. And then if you say that this is all a result of statistics, then there's no point in talking about intelligence because it's just random. It's like, what is intelligence then? It's like, how do you even measure that? What is righteousness? What is all that? So, I mean, it's for you and I, it's laughable now, but it's incredible the education system because if we were to have this type of a conversation in a public school, let's say we're kids, quote unquote kids. I know you don't agree on the age. We would get kicked out. They'd be like, "Boys, what are you guys talking about? Oh, you're talking about the creator and all that." Like they'll be like, don't bring that here." So that's also has to be part of the design because if it's all statistics and by chance, why is it a big deal if we talk about God? Let's if it's all stupid and random and all that, like who cares, right? But we know even this platform that we're using doesn't like that we talk about certain things. So who's controlling that?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, man. And let's see, damn, there was a point I wanted to bring up, and now it left my mind. But dealing with this whole evolution, man, it's just it's very simple. Oh, I wanted to mention this that this is what they say. They don't know what part of the brain is responsible for intelligence, right? For consciousness. They don't know what part of the brain makes you alive. They can't figure that out.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like and it's another thing as well, dealing with dreams and whatnot. It's like, well, how did all of this just come about? The human being's mind, right? They just somehow got consciousness, and also when you go to sleep at night, it can play a dream for you, right? It just seems like wasn't all this designed? How could this just magically appear from nowhere? You know what I'm saying? It
Yeah.
just makes no logical sense.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting into money, so to speak, as our friend from ITR Naz44 would say. We're getting into the money, fellas. So that's dude, that's where we're at, man. I don't think you and I we're not that far off on Christ or Yahweh's second coming. A month or two, a little bit here and there, but it's not far away. That's for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I mean, hell, man. By the way, hey, look, as Tahar said one of his videos, man, he said this. Hey, look,
I saw that by
we
the way.
could be. Yeah, he said we could be out of here when all this goes down. We could be out of here in a week, and 2 weeks, and 3 weeks. This could go down. The Lord could do all this in 1 week, is what he said in one of his videos. What did you hear the statement he made?
Yeah, I mean, I watched the one you sent me, and he was kind of like, 3 months could be a 6 months, could be. It's kind of what you were saying. So it's not like you and I are far off. It's not like he's far off from either of us, with what he said. So we're all in the same ballpark, is what I'm trying to say. And I mean, it's exciting for sure. So you know,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, hell,
it's
man.
undeniable at this point. Yeah, I mean, like everything's set up, is what you're trying to say. Like, there's no prophecy remaining. There's no technology that's not out there that God could use or whatever. So back to
Yeah,
you.
I mean, hell, as far as we know, I mean, hell, Christ could return next week, as far as I know. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? I mean, there's too much that's going on right now. You got these guys out there that are talking about, well, we're not in the end times because people have been saying that for hundreds of years. So see, it's not different today. And I know somebody who's a pastor who told me that, right?
I was going to ask you,
It's
man.
not the
I was
Go
going to
ahead.
ask you something. You said somebody in your family is a pastor. Did you say that, or was it just a friend or family
Um,
friend?
I have somebody in my family that is they are a pastor, which basically what they do is, once in a while they'll go up and teach on the stage, right? Because they're friends with all of the other pastors, right? So they're not ordained by the
I
by the
got it.
churches. However, they do go up on the stage and teach, every so often. You know what I'm saying? So they would consider themselves to be
Right.
educated because they attended what is that? The cemetery schools, right? So they think that they know a whole lot, and they also teach the Babylon's Vatican City, by the way.
The reason I ask you that is like, how could, like, if I had somebody in my family who thought those things, like, I couldn't even sit in the same room as them, So I can imagine if you're around this person and they think all these crazy things, which to us are crazy, not to them, but I'm like, how do you deal with that? To
Oh,
think
and
like,
also, by the way, they actually found my videos, and as I said, this goes back to my persecution when I was put in the mental hospital, right? But hey, look, that's my lot in this thing. Every man has his own level of hell, But anyway, yeah, they found it. They said, hey, I'll respect this. They said, hey, look, we do disagree with your teaching, but we'll still be here, and love you, no matter what. And you know what? I will respect that. I will respectfully, disagree with them. But hey, that's cool. We'll disagree and keep it moving, right? We'll be as men and respectfully disagree, and we'll keep it moving. That's just the way you gotta
right.
look at things. I'll throw it back to you.
If my family put me in a mental hospital, I would go to the hospital, convince everybody else that they're insane, kick them out, and then I would run the place and then help people because like I would make the sane people go crazy. That's what we can do in the times that we live in now. And this is a powerful thing. This is the truth. This is how powerful the truth is. We could go and tell people, you live on a flat earth, right? And you'd be like, oh, okay, you can prove it to them and all that. It's obvious. The sun moves, we don't. We can make sane people crazy. And people call us crazy, but we're the sane people. We're the normal people now. It's
Hey,
amazing.
and you know what? I can tell you, man, from when I was in there, what I was doing? I was actually talking with the other people who were there. Because basically what it is they had a whole room where you can go in and talk with the other people in, basically sitting there all day. So I was talking with them. It's like, hey guys, you guys ever look at the flat Earth before?
Yeah, exactly.
Because that was an interesting
Dude, they
conversation.
would kick us out because we could actually, like, I mean, not to say you couldn't prove it back then, but now we can actually prove the Bible's true because of the flat earth, because of the MOTB, because of all this stuff. I mean, it's like handed to us on a silver platter, and this is an amazing time. It's like it's all these struggles and all these years of us arguing with people. I remember so many Bible studies I'd argue and I'd email back and forth with my sisters about religion and like all that. I basically was like good servant to them. I was literally like telling them like, oh, you got to accept Jesus into your, I was all that. I was that guy. And it's funny now I realize, dude, we can't even tell people that because they won't understand. They're going to hate us kind of thing. So it's amazing how it comes full circle, man. It's wild, dude.
Yeah, yeah. And as I said, man, hey, look, we got to consider ourselves lucky, man, because, hey, look, even though we all might disagree on certain things, hey, look, at the end of the day, at least we have the truth, right? That we know what the earth is flat, right? That the Most High exists, right? And that
Right.
we're in those times now that Yahweh Shai is about to return. Oh, and that the UFOs are the chariots of the Most High. Because you got guys out there, man, they're
Yeah.
talking about, well, the UFOs are Satan's angels in there, and they're gonna
We got to talk about that,
deceive.
man. Yeah, we got to
Yeah,
talk about that.
we're gonna side way onto that. But he was saying, well, they're planning to deceive everybody because when they see these UFOs, they're gonna think our alien saviors have come, but they're
Yeah.
actually Satan and his angels. Have you heard of that theory? What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, we see that a lot in the quote unquote truth community, man. Like a lot, like you know what I understand about that, and I think you would agree with this, is that the lies are happening at a accelerated rate, right? We see that in the news and all that, right? So like they can't
Right.
stop. They got to have bigger and bigger lies. So it's logical for a truther who doesn't want to be into the Bible to believe that's the next thing. So it's logical. I'm not saying it's what I believe or what I suspect you believe, but when people say that, truthers like Karen B and um, even people like Mark Sargent and obviously people like Eric Dubay, when I emailed him, he'd be more inclined to say that that's a visitation from evil spirits than righteous spirits. Can I read a quick verse, dude, based on the comment
Go
you
ahead.
said earlier? ETT
Yep.
made a statement about how Christ or Yahushua could return. We don't know. Could be in a week. And I definitely agree. Matthew 24:29-30. Immediately after the tribulation of those days, shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of heaven shall be shaken. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. Why else would the entire world be mourning when God, who this humble God, would return? Because they know what's coming. But I wanted to highlight this statement here: the stars shall fall from heaven. I recommend people, I'm not going to do it here, but just look into this meteor shower that's finishing today, actually. So who knows? Maybe TT called it. So yeah, I don't think it could happen
Oh,
whenever,
but
man. At this point,
yeah, but don't let me say this. Don't forget though, because remember, William Bell said that all that whole chapter was all fulfilled in 70 AD. So we can't forget about that part though.
dude, they should have literally just read Matthew 24 and made that the whole debate. You know, just go down the whole thing, because some of it's historical, and you agree with that. We agree with that, no
Yeah.
doubt. But yeah, I mean, when is this going to happen? Like, when are all these things going to happen, man? Like, really? The reason they don't want to read it because William Bell is a false prophet in verse 11. So he's part of the deception, is what it
Right.
is.
Oh, and
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard at the beginning. I was basically speaking about future shows I was going to do. There was a brother who reached out to me who wanted to have a discussion about let me see, about the Trinity and who the real Israelites are today. So I would
Hmm.
suppose from that he is in support of the Trinity, and so. Let me phrase myself. I am also sure that if he's saying we can talk about who the real Israelites are, he must be implying that they are not the so-called blacks. So what would your faults be? How would you be able to refute the brother on that when we bring him on?
I can prove the so-called Negroes are the biblical Jews because they teach reincarnation and the UFOs. That's enough for me, because I haven't heard that from a quote unquote white person, and I'm not trying to be racist. Um, I'm Indian, so I'm not white or quote unquote black, but I knew when I first listened to Zabak and Tahar and all them, not to say that in a rude way, but like all of those Hebrew Israelites, I knew that they were spiritual right when they were teaching that, because you need to know that to understand the Bible. But the way I would refute that is you can talk to Jewish, you can watch Jewish or like scholars who will say the Negroes are Israelites, and then you can even go to the Zondervan. This is what the Hebrews do a lot. The Zondervan Bible Dictionary will tell you that the Hebrews are Shemitic people, so they're Israelites. So, and that's like freaking mainstream. So I don't know. I can pull that up.
What's that, Coon? The sovereign Israelite, right? He teaches that the people who live over in Israel today, those are the real people of God. What would your response be to that?
Doesn't
Oh,
surprise
and
me that he would say that. Doesn't surprise me that
don't
he would say
forget, sovereign Israelite said he is the top educator who has ever existed in the world. Don't forget that part.
that. Wow.
Oh, and he teaches at Vatican's Babylon.
Yeah, I mean that guy. I just remember him from good non sequitur. So anybody that goes on non sequitur, I mean, I went on it, but it's kind of incriminating. But like, I mean, that show is just loaded with like shills. I actually prefer modern day debate because the guy who runs modern day debate is more fair. You know, like non sequitur is terrible, and that's where I saw Southern Israelite at the beginning, because it's run by a rainbow. So you think you're going to get a fair platform? You know what I mean? Have you ever been on that show, or you familiar with that?
Um, I don't think so. I've heard of the name before, but I haven't checked it out.
Yeah, that's where I started going on some of my things, and then I made that 5-year prediction. Um, so yeah, that, just so you know, that's where I did that kind of stuff back in the day. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, but yeah, I want people to understand. I'm trying to look it up in the Zondervan, but even the Zondervan Bible Dictionary says that the so-called Negroes are um, a special group of people. So if I find it, oh, actually, I have it right here. Zondervan's Bible Dictionary: Ham, youngest son of Noah, progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes, not the Negroes. And so they're not Hamitic people. So they're Shemitic people. And so when they say you're anti-Semitic, it means you're a descendant of Shem. And so they're Semitic people. They're Israelites. Doesn't even mean they
You
behave
know
like
what's funny?
Israelites. Yeah.
I I was gonna go on with Southern Israelite, but then he said, "Well, the only way to come on is you have to pay me $100 an hour, and you have to do a minimal of 3 hours." which actually, if I'm not mistaken, it might be $300 an hour, which would be a minimum of 3 hours, which would be about $900 that he wants for a debate. I mean, that guy got to be smoking crack. That guy
Jeez.
got some screws loose up in the head. Remember, he's the top educator in the world. Let's not forget that.
Dude, if you could have a hangout 1 hour with anybody on YouTube, who would you want? Just it could be
Um,
anybody. You haven't spoke to Tahar, right, face to face yet?
no, no, I think I'd have to do Tahara. I think that'd be good.
That's what I would have picked. But I think for me, I don't know. Like the one that I've learned a lot from is Russian Vids, but I already know everything that he would say, so I don't really need to talk to him. That's not me trying to insult him, but at this point, I don't really know actually.
Weren't you on a debate with him? I was watching with what's that guy? Red, his name is something like that. I was
Yeah,
watching
so dude, that's a good point because those are the non sequitur shows, right? And that's why he was invited. That's why I'm not trying to be rude because I learned from Russian Vids, but he's in on that team. Like when I first went on those debates, Kyle, who's the leader of non sequitur, he would invite Russian Vids, and then Russian Vids came on the after show. So like Russian Vids is kind of like safe. Like he can go on those shows, and he'll obviously push the flat Earth and teach it well, but they know that he's a safe guest to have because they'll make fun of other things that he teaches. But yeah, like him and I were on that hangout, and then Res Rhetoric was like, I mean, with what we know now, no one would even want to talk to us because we know all the arguments, we know all the optics, we know all the tricks, everything that they've brought, we already can refute it. So I would not be allowed on those shows anymore. So
right, right.
that's just the
As
way it is.
far as our friend talking about the Trinity, right? Because from my perspective, I think that he's in support of it because he knows we don't teach that. So, one question I would have to ask him is since Jesus is God, right? So it's like, okay, oh well, what about that one verse in Revelation where it literally says 4 times says my God, right? Christ said that he shall sit in the temple of my God. So my question would be, well, who is the God of God? And they
Right.
can't answer that. It's
Exactly.
just, you know what I'm saying? What would your response be to that?
Yeah, we know that the creator, that's another reason why I knew that the so-called Negroes are special in terms of their teaching, because they reference the Most High in their, and the Christian church doesn't do that very often, if at all. And we know now that from the Bible that the elect actually interact with the highest power. And that doesn't mean that we disrespect Christ, but there's a group of people on this earth that interact with the Most High. And they taught that. I've never heard that kind of teaching before. And it's obviously what the Bible says, but that's another one of the proofs that I knew right within the first few videos I watched, like, oh, okay, there's something going on here to pay attention to.
Yeah,
And
yeah, man. And hey, look, I'll say because I used to watch what's that channel? Now You See TV. I would always sit on there and listen to what they were talking about. But when I heard these GMS guys, I was like, oh, hold on a second.
yeah,
What is this way that they're teaching? Right? Some of these things sound crazy, like UFOs, the hell thing. But hey, look, I looked into it, and now I'm convinced that hey, these guys were right on that. Right? They might be off on certain things, but
yeah,
you know what? These ones, hey, these guys clearly, these guys know what's up. These guys know something's going on. These guys know more than these Christians. I mean, hell, these Christians are out there saying that. I remember a while back dealing with the same individual, right? The pastor they were talking about well, you have to go into church and legally get married, or you're not considered married in the eyes of the Most High. It's like, well,
hmm
where is that in the scriptures? And you ask them that, and then they say, well, the Bible says to obey the government. What would your
hmm
response be to that?
yeah. I think now that's another one of their teachings that actually makes sense. Is that once you're with somebody, they call it to know somebody. That's the way the Bible describes it. That's marriage in the biblical sense. It's not like, oh, dating and like, oh, you go on 10 dates and you write her poems and all that kind of stuff. I'm not saying it's wrong to do that, but like too much of that, it's like, it's sinful actually, because that's like woman worship. And so, I think they go too far, like, but I mean, it's true.
Right,
It's what it is. Yeah.
right, absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you did a research, they actually came up with this whole wedding thing and the whole giving diamonds and whatnot, diamond ring. They made all that up here in America
Yeah.
to to make a lot of money. And anybody can just pull up the information and research that. But before, that's not what was going on, 200-300 years ago. And then going back further, that wasn't what was going on. And
Exactly.
if you read about what would happen is a man would take his woman, right, which would usually be a virgin, right? They'd take her into a chamber, right, a marriage chamber, and he would lay with the woman, and then there would be a cloth that would be there,
Yeah.
and the woman would lean onto the cloth, and then the father of the daughter would get to keep that, and that would be called the token of her virginity, and that's
Hmm.
in let's see, that's in I want to say Deuteronomy, the 22nd chapter, starting at the top. But yeah, guys don't know that. You know what I'm saying? And then another one as well is if you go to what is that, Genesis the 24 and verse 67, if I'm not mistaken. It speaks
Hmm.
about what the Isaac took Rebecca into his mother's tent, and she became his wife. Now, what happened in there? I mean, hell, we know what happened, but was there a church pastor in there saying, and I pronounce you man and wife? No. But it says what? That he took her in there, right? He laid with her, and she became his wife. So I mean, hey, look, it's easy to see what's going on here, right? These guys are just lost in the sauce. These guys,
Yeah.
hey, look, these guys were all brought up in America, so that's how they think. I'll throw it back to you.
Yeah, and you were right about Deuteronomy 22. I looked it up now, and yeah, I mean, just the way that the Israelites did it, you can see that all the other nations, like even in my own family, let's say I am an Israelite, then I see aspects of that in my own family because my grandmother was married when she was 11 or 12, and she's like a very, very religious like person. And then, like even like certain groups of people who wear beards, and then the way the wedding is between two families coming together, and like it's not all this like dating and like like swiping and apps and all this kind of like nonsense that goes on now. It's the way it was with the Israelites because it works. Obviously God would make it so it's a way a healthy group should operate. So that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And that's why when I went on there with the Sakari brought up this topic, and they were like, oh, well, that's pretty, weird, and that's pretty evil to say that women under 20 can get married, because he said that according to the Bible, you can't sleep with a woman till she's 20 years old. So I asked him, okay, brother, what verse says that? And he was like, oh, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know where it says that, but it says that. You know what I'm saying? That'd be like if
Hmm.
I made a statement and said, if I was to make a statement and say, well, the Bible says there's unicorns living on the planet Mars, somebody would ask me, okay, well, what verse says that? Then if I can't pull up a verse that says that, my statement should be discredited. And
Right.
then it's also another thing as well. All they have to do is pull up the historical information, dealing with those topics of discussion. Like
Right.
I brought to mind a term. I was looking on Wikipedia, and there's a term called bride kidnapping, which basically means what? It still happens to this very day. Basically, a man takes a woman by force in the hopes that she becomes his wife. And anyone can look into this to see that GMS didn't make that up. This is something that is actually historical fact on Wikipedia, right? Hey, I mean, the person who wrote that on Wikipedia, they're not a member of GMS. They're just telling the history, right? So I brought that up to the Decoon, and he was like, "What is bride kidnapping? I never heard of that." So it's like, okay, well, all you got to do is go on Wikipedia and look this up, and you can literally see it. This is the exact thing that it's speaking about in Deuteronomy, the 22nd chapter. It's literally
Yeah.
the exact same thing. So, not to get off onto that topic, but I just
No,
had
but
to
dude,
throw
can
that
I
out
can
there.
I can I can
Go
I
ahead.
add one thing to that? What you said about the history? Look up the history. That's a great
Yeah.
point. I want people to know that these are just facts that you can investigate. Okay, like, and that's the aspect that GMS. I think you left a message on my thing about you to know the mystery. You got to know the history, right? You
Hey,
said
man,
that.
we gotta do a show about that. I was just about to mention that. Hey, look, in order to know the mystery, you have to know the history, and
Well,
that's how
dude,
we
here's a
gotta look at
quote.
this.
Here's a quote for that,
Go
man.
ahead.
Here's a good one. Okay, this is Gamal Abdel Nasser. Okay, the late president of Egypt. Listen to what he said when he was asked about peace in the Middle East. The late president of Egypt, Gamal Abdel Nasser, said, "The Jews will never be able to live here in peace because they left here black but came back white." Why would he say that?
Oh, that's a good one.
Why would he say that if the Jews are the people that are there right now? Come on.
Right, right.
The Jews
Oh,
are
and that's
so-called
that's
black. The Jews are so-called black people. Now, does that mean that? some of the lighter skinned Jews there are not Jews? Of course not. Are there white Jews on this earth somewhere? Yeah, there has to be, like maybe, I don't know, some.
Right,
But
right.
generally speaking, the Jews, and the top Jew ever is Jesus Christ, or Yahushua. He was a dark skinned man. That's what it is. It's like history. So back to you.
Yeah, another thing as well, dealing with the history, like two good points, is dealing with what is that, Deuteronomy 28:68. To know that, you'd have to know what happened in the 1600s when the Europeans brought the Israelites to America from Africa to sell them into slavery, right? So that's a prophecy fulfilled. But only way to know that is you would have to know the history, right? And another thing as well, dealing with the history of America, it goes into that in Revelation the 17th chapter, right? It speaks about the seven, world empires that existed and how America sprung out of one of them. In order to understand that, you would
Yeah.
have to know history of how America came into being, right? You wouldn't
Right.
know without doing the research that America came about by Great Britain, right? It split off from that. And that
Yeah.
wouldn't make sense if you didn't know, because if you go to, what is that? Jeremiah, I believe it's the 50th chapter, verse 12, it says what? That even your mother, she shall be sore confounded. She that bore you shall be ashamed. And you got those idiots on there, tried and refined, talking about, well, Jeremiah 50 and 51, that was talking about ancient Babylon. All that already was fulfilled. I can't even believe that. Let's go
those
back.
those guys are, I don't even, lost in the sauce is like a compliment at this point to say that. I feel bad. Like, how on earth can you that's similar to that verse where it says, when you can't turn your, after you've plowed, turning your back on the gospel.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
paraphrasing.
Luke chapter 9. That's Luke chapter 9 verse 62, right? Any man who puts his hand to the plow and looking back, he is not fit for the kingdom, right? And that's talking
Right.
about what? Hey, look. So we came into this truth. We got to stick to this truth, right? And hey, it's part of the cost. You're going to catch misfortune on this side, but hey, that's part of the trial that comes along with it. I'll throw back.
Yeah, and it's amazing. So I want people to know, the Bible's amazing. Like, I keep saying that, but I mean, the Bible could not explain our world, all of it, any better than it is right now. I mean, I just don't know what to say. Like, it's amazing, and like, I want people to understand, think about the brutality of the cargo slave ships, right? If you read a book that described your world, but it did not have that in there, what kind of God would that be? Like, who doesn't explain why that happened, because of how many people were involved and how brutal it was. So the Bible has to have that somewhere. Just like this narrative that's happening, that's so deceptive. If there was a religious book that didn't have that in there, why would you read the book? You're like, well, okay, God doesn't care about this. So I want people to understand, like, it has to be that was Bible prophecy. I'm talking about
Another thing
the
is,
so-called Negroes.
so sorry to cut you off, man,
Yeah.
but another point to throw out there is ITR. They teach that we're under the new covenant today. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's weak, man. And that's I think you brought this up in a couple hangouts before, and I never thought about it too much, but I agree more and more that the Old Testament laws are alive and well, man. They're alive and well.
Oh,
Yeah.
this one guy, this one member of them, I'm not sure his name, but you can find him on my channel subscriptions. He was the white guy there. If you saw him, he has the like orange beard, whatnot. But
Yeah.
anyway, his channel, he does a stream every couple days, and he calls it New Covenant Vibes, right? So they teach that we're living in the New Covenant today. It's like, how the hell could we be in the New Covenant today if the scriptures clearly say, what is that, Jeremiah the 31st chapter, 31st verse, on down, it says what? That in the New Covenant, no man shall teach his neighbor about the Most High, for everyone will know the laws of the Most High and will know the Lord.
Yeah.
That clearly isn't happening today. So by logical deduction, how could we be in the New Covenant? And they
Yeah,
don't know
agreed.
that. It's like, well, we'll skip that.
That's basically like a lot of these people are almost going back to the 501c3 church. That's why Sanetter asked Naz 44, the guy who keeps saying beloved, okay, creeping me out. But he asked him, like, bro, he's like, what are you now, man? He's like, are you Christian? Are you freaking Hebrew? Like, notice how it used to be Israelite, tried and refined. Now what is it? Just tried and refined. Drop the Israelites. Wow. So why would you do that? If you're an Israelite and you know you're an Israelite, why would you ashamed of that kind of thing. So a lot of these people are going back to the 501c3 church, man. This is a bad time to be joining the 501c3 church, man. Bad time. Don't do it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, hell, man. According to statistics, right? Hey, the church is actually dying out right now. You have many people, during this whole, time everyone has been having at home. They have luxury, so people be sitting around playing video games. Some people be reading. One of the book that was purchased the most was the scriptures, right? Because people actually say, "Oh, you know what? Well, I'll go ahead and read it then," because hey, why not? It's something to get off my checklist if they had that on there, right? Because hey, reading the whole book at least one time front to back, that's a big accomplishment. I mean, hell, only a couple people on Earth actually did that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Can I do a quick little history lesson, man? In Second
Go ahead.
Ezra, you'll like this. I think you're familiar with Second Ezra 12, 22 to 28. This is incredible. I want people to understand the Bible is the Word of God. ETT and I know this. We're trying to see what the last bit is all about, but look at how accurate this describes history. Second Ezra 12, 22. And as for your seeing three heads at rest, this is the interpretation. In the last days, the Most High will raise up three kings, and they shall renew many things in it, and shall rule the earth. And verse 24, and its inhabitants more oppressively than all who were before them. So this also debunks preterism, which is nonsense. Not that we need to keep going back to that, but the oppression in the last days has to be the most amount. So anybody who says we're in Christ's kingdom, that's backwards to this, because this is saying the end is going to get more and more progressively oppressive. I'll read 24 again. And its inhabitants more oppressively than all were before them. Therefore they are called the heads of the eagle. Let's listen to these heads, see what they're all about. Because it is they who shall sum up his wickedness and perform his last actions. This is God. Verse 26. As for your seeing that the large head disappeared, one of the kings shall die in his bed, but in agonies. That's in verse 26. You read on February 6th, 26, King George the Sixth of Great Britain, Ireland, dies in his sleep. So when ETT earlier, we were talking about Britain dying and then the British pound being replaced by what? The American dollar. It's in Bible prophecy. Check this out. I'll read 26 again. As for your seeing that large head disappeared, one of the kings shall die in his bed, but in agonies. How would the Bible know that? How would Ezra know that thousands of years ago? Verse 27, but as for the two who remained, the sword shall devour them. So God's going to kill all the power structures in the last days. Listen to this. How would the Bible know this? Verse 28, for the sword of one shall devour him who was with him. How would the Bible know that the other nations are going to destroy America, which is one of those heads? But he shall also fall by the sword in the last days. Then God will kill the final one with the elect. So how did Ezra know this? This is amazing. This is just a few verses here in the Bible and explains a lot of history and then also what's about to happen. Pass it back to you.
Yeah, and a good question to bring out is dealing with these other religious textbooks. It's like, or these books out there like the Egyptian Book of the Dead, the Talmud, or the Quran. Some of these books. It's like they claim to be divinely inspired, but none of those books contain prophecies in it, other than this book does. And we're seeing these prophecies. Hey, these prophecies are popping off like popcorn,
Yeah, exactly.
right now before us. So, that gives the authenticity to the text. That it says, because the word prophecy means what? It says to say before, right? So it says something that's going to happen before it happens, right? So it shows us. Now we have a question coming in here from the chat. Let me just read it real quick. Let me see. And Arxian, I hope I'm pronouncing the brother's name right. He said, I believe his tall stature is more significant than his race. I'm not sure what he's
I'll get the
referring
verse that
to
he's
there.
talking about. I'll get the verse that he's talking about.
Go ahead.
It's in the Apocrypha. Because I'm pretty sure he got that from one of my live streams, that Jesus Christ or Yahushua was a tall man. Okay. He's not 4'2", okay, with a little Weasley voice and light skin. That's just not the way he is. Second Ezra 2:43, and in the midst of them there was a young man of a high stature. Listen to this, taller than the rest. And upon every one of their heads he set crowns, and was more exalted, which I marveled at greatly. That's Christ with his elect. So the Bible says that he's tall. which makes sense,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, absolutely, man. Which I was actually gonna do a lesson soon about the great throne judgment, right? The white throne judgment, right? Judgment Day. That's
Yeah.
actually an interesting, topic to go over. And also I sent I saw Ridge was online, so I sent him a link to see if he wants to join with us. So he might be here in a couple minutes. We'll see. But yeah, man, that's an interesting, topic to go into, man. What is your thoughts on that one?
What verse is that, ETG? Is that Revelation, or where is that?
Let me see. That's I
Yeah.
know that's referenced in Revelation the 20th chapter, right? The great throne judgment.
Right. Yeah, we can go through that. I mean, there's no real topic here. We're just it's amazing. I don't know what to say, man. The Bible is just absolutely incredible. We're seeing all these things happen right before our very eyes, and then we have people who have the nerve to say Christ is going to return in 1,000 years on my channel. Really? Come on, man. Can you imagine the world 1,000 years from now? What the hell, dude?
Yeah,
Crazy.
man. I mean, it's crazy, man. I mean, hell, hey, look, man. We can talk about this topic a little bit, man. I was at the store the other day, man, and hey, look, all you got to do is look at these people walking around, man. Right? All you see on everybody's face is doom and gloom. And that, what is that? That's Isaiah the 24th chapter, right? All the joy is darkened.
Yeah.
And that's what you see right now. Everybody is pissed off and in a bad mood right now. Everybody is. Ain't nobody got anything going for them right now, unless they're one of the top, people in this society. But that's one here and far in between, right? Everyone else is catching hell right now. Right?
Yeah.
Everybody's behind, 10 months on rent. There's just, hey, look, man, this has to be it. There's no bouncing back
No.
for America, Babylon the Great. This place, hey, it's through, it's finished. Hey, call it a wrap, right? This place is done. I'll throw it back to
And it's funny, man. I hear so many people saying that this is it. You coined that from Ronnie, man. Rest in peace, Ronnie. But I hear freaking Call for an Uprising say it. Like Ken Hovind, we say it all the time.
you. Hey, listen, man. I mean, hell, you're not even lying because I'll tell you, man. I've at least heard over the past couple months, or really since it even happened, when I watch a random YouTube video, say about a funny video or a scary video or an
Yeah,
educational video, they'll always gonna say, "Hey guys, this is it," or "That's it," or something along those
yeah,
lines. They always say it. I don't know why everyone does, but everyone's saying it in almost every video. Somebody
dude,
says
you're
it with the
famous. You don't even know it, man. People are watching your videos, taking notes, man. I watch all your videos. I don't miss them. So, I got a good verse for you, man. In line with what you're saying. Not to cut off your story, but this is one that the Hebrews quote a lot, and it's correct. Proverbs 29:2. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. That will be in the kingdom ultimately. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. So how could that
Oh,
not be
that's
in the times that we live in now? Give me a break.
hey, you gotta ask William Bell that because wait, we're in the kingdom. So wait a second. Well, what about this verse? And you ask him that, and he'll say, like when they did you watch the rest of that debate? Because there was one part in that where they brought up to him, what about these, churches that got, vandalized and whatnot, right? Or is the church dwelling safely today? And William
Yeah.
Bell said yes, that they are. What would your response be to that?
Dude, you know what they should retitle? If you mirrored that debate on your channel, I already know what you would title it. Coon versus Coon. D Coon versus Coon, man. Come on, dude.
Yeah.
Really, man? And I'm not trying to be rude, but if you're a quote unquote Negro and you're saying that this is heaven, I don't know what to say, man. Like you're
Right.
catching hell every minute of every day, and you got your quote leaders saying you're in heaven. Like that's
Right. And we're
sick.
dwelling safely.
Come on, dude. Really?
I mean,
No,
hey,
man.
look. Hey, look, man, every time you drive by a police car, if you're a black man, you got to be worried about, okay, am I going to get killed? Am I going to survive? But wait, but we're dwelling in safely though. We're
Exactly. It's
dwelling in peace.
yeah, the people that are supposed to bring you safety, you're afraid of. So how can that be the kingdom? They're just gunning down quote unquote black people just randomly. Like there's no reason for it. So that to me, I mean, that's why I struggle with those. Like it's not funny, but like how can somebody say that? Like uh And I don't know if he's like rich. Like if he was like a billionaire or something, okay, kind of what you were saying earlier, okay, then maybe you have an argument because, like, yeah, I mean, you got everything. But if you're just like an everyday average person who like sees other people's struggles and then you make that statement, I mean, that's horrifying. So stupid. I honestly, it's better to be an atheist. It's better just to say you don't know what the Bible says, and just, you know, I think God would be much better. He'll treat that person better, you know, than somebody who makes those kind of statements in the
Oh
times
yeah,
that we live in.
there's a scripture, and I was reading the other day when I was reading, I believe it was the book of Luke. There's a reference in there to say what that, hey, look, if one knew this truth and knew it was right, but turned from it and went back to do his
Yeah,
evil and turned his back on the truth, it'd be more severe for him, the punishment, compared to one who didn't know this truth, right? They're both going to be punished, but
yeah,
the one who knew the truth and turned back from it, he's going to get punished worse than the one who never heard of the truth.
exactly,
Right. So
exactly.
that rings true. Mighty God, you want to address the question here in the chat for you?
Yeah, we can discuss that. I don't know if you want to switch to that topic or whatever, but I think it's a good one.
We'll address it for maybe a couple minutes here, because I have my answer. My answer to it is as I read the King James Bible, but I will say this, that there are certain translations that might use certain words that might be easier to understand, right? There's certain verses in other translations that I might quote once in a while because I like how it's worded compared to the King James. However, you do have to watch because sometimes they might misuse a certain word, right? So you just got to be diligent, and that'll be my response.
Yeah, I mean, I think that my stance on this is that the Bible is meant to
Let me
deceive a
see.
lot of
I'm not
people.
sure. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
All right, bear with me a moment here.
Yeah.
All right, Mind God, you there?
Yes, sir. I can hear you, man.
Okay, yeah, man. I'm not sure what happened with that. I had to exit out for a minute there. Anyway, man, did you wanted to
Yeah.
respond to that? Cause
Can I read the
okay,
verse of what you cited earlier, just so our audience
go
knows
ahead.
what you're talking about? Luke 12,
Yep.
47 to 49. I want people to understand we don't say this to make Jesus seem like he's crazy, but we want to know this is what the Bible says. Okay. So he's not the way that we've all been taught in the church. So just that's why we focus on these. Luke 12, 47 to 49. And that servant which knew his Lord's will and prepared not himself, neither did according to his will, shall be beaten with many stripes. Verse 48. But he that knew not and did commit things worthy of stripes, uh, shall be beaten with few stripes, but they're still going to get beaten. Okay. But unto whomever much is given, of him shall much be required. And to whom men have committed much, of him they will ask the more. I am come, listen to this, to send fire on the earth. And what will I, if it be ready? Sorry, if it be already kindled. And so he's excited. Honestly, like he has to be excited to do this. But that's what we were referencing with William Bell. For people who are aware of other people's struggles, if you are, one of the people that are being oppressed and you don't call it out, then you're going to get punishment for that. People like William Bell. So no, you're not allowed to say that this is Christ's kingdom because the fire hasn't come yet from Christ, which is prophesied everywhere. So regarding the
That's
translations, sorry, TT, back to you, man. I didn't want to interrupt.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna let Mind God answer the question about the translation, but I do want to throw in there real quick. Like, say for an example, right? If we are living in the kingdom today, and I asked this to our friend Concave Earth Christians, and we can sideway onto this after Mind God gives this, but
Samuel.
I asked him this, Samuel. I asked Samuel this question: if you are Christ on earth, and this also goes for William Bell, so it's a two-pronged question. If Christ is ruling today on earth, right, and if Samuel is Christ, well, why do we see such as what happened over in, what was it, Haiti, where 12,000, or I mean 1,200 people lost their lives and thousands of people are missing? due to this massive earthquake. I believe it was a 7 magnitude earthquake that happened. But we're living in Christ's kingdom, though. I'll throw it back to Mike.
Yeah, and I think like, yeah, there's so much devastation that we can't explain unless God's behind it. That's again why ETT and I on our various live streams, we reiterate that because it's supposed to be comforting. We're not going to get points. We're trying to help people because there's so much of those. That's just one example. I would live here in Houston. When I moved here 3 or 4 years ago, there was water so high in the streets that people were taking their boat onto the streets and taking their boat and then sailing over cars and scratching the cars. That's how much water there was. So how can that not be from God? How else can somebody flood an entire city? And Houston's huge. That has to be God. I mean, we could quote Amos 3:6, which is a good one. I'll get that while I pass it back to you.
Yeah, and we'll sideway onto that topic, but before we do that, I will let him, mighty God, answer this question real quick, just so we can get that out of the way.
Yeah, I don't trust any translation. I like all of them. I believe that the Greek and the Hebrew, you need to do that, and that's what the Hebrews taught me. And I told Deacon that when we were talking about the MOTB, because the same thing that we read here in English is the same person who's reading the Bible in Hebrew or in Greek in the other part of the flat earth. We all have to be instructed by the same Spirit. So the English language is not the way that we are supposed to be interpreting the Bible, because the English language is a perverted language, actually. Ultimately, it's not like the purest form of communication, which obviously Christ or Yahushua was speaking. So the English Bible is not what a person should read and be like, oh, that's what it says there. And then, so that's the way it says God so loved the world. Does that mean that God loved the world? No, God hates a majority of the world. Like we're reading everywhere. So that's the part where, if your question was along those lines, it's not so much the translation per se, but the language that you're reading it in matters a lot. So
Let me add something to that as
yeah.
well, because as I was trying to say with the decum when I was on there, I was saying that you have to be diligent, right? Because when you deal with the English language, that's a very deceiving language. You know why? Because if you can look this up, but they say that the hardest language to learn is English. You know why? Because certain words mean different things, even though that might spell the same and be pronounced the same. And I'll give an example. I could say where, right? Where are my pants? Or where are you going? You
Right.
know what I'm saying? So it's the same word, but it's being used in a different context. So you have to be able to notice what context words are being used in, right? So it's difficult to do that. For us, it's easy because we were raised with this language. But for somebody else that's trying to learn English, that's going to be difficult for them to learn, right? They say that English is the hardest language in the world in order to learn, which anybody can look that up themselves. But that point has to be brought out, that certain words have different meanings. It just depends on the context which the word is used in to get the proper form of meaning. So I'll throw it back to Monica.
Yeah, and I just watched a Ramlab's quote unquote breakdown of Second Esdras, and he's reading Second Esdras out of one translation that says that the 10 tribes were taken away, and then I'm reading mine that says 9 tribes. So that's the issue, with the Bible, is that it's whatever one you're reading. It depends on that person's judgment. And so to go and figure out and go back to the history and figure out what's right or more accurate, I mean, we don't have the time or the resources to do that, which is why God's Spirit has to be involved, because that's the sort of key that unlocks this, because again, I want people to know the deceived and the deceiver are his. We know that from Job 12:16. So God is attempting and successfully deceived a lot of people on this earth using the Bible. Back to you, ETT. Do you agree with that first? But
Yeah, absolutely. That's why you got these, like say for an example, according to my research, there's 40,000 different denominations out there that use the Bible as their holy book, so to
right.
speak. But all of them are teaching something that's contrary. So I mean, that's crazy. We're all using the same book, but yet we're all teaching something different. You know what I'm saying? But that just
Yeah.
shows, how deceptive what's going on here, right? So say for an example, you have the Christians on there that say that well, Satan fell out of heaven, right? God made him as one of the most powerful angels, but he rebelled against God and pulled down other angels with him, right? So they were all cast to the earth and they slept with women, right, to create these Nephilim,
Hmm.
right? So, that's not true. You ask them where that's at in the scriptures, they can't show you, right? They're just repeating that because that's what they were told. Like, I'll give an example. I remember back when I was 10 years old, I was asking a question about the UFOs, right, to a Seventh-day Adventist,
Yeah.
and they said, well, those are Satan and his angels, right? They're trying to deceive the masses of people, right? So it just shows you, man, that why did they say that? Because that's how they were raised to think, right? As Tahar said, hey, look, you were brought up in this man fool system,
So,
so that's the way that you think. I'll throw it back to you.
yeah, and you know what's funny, man? I was going to ask you a question about that. So now that like a handful of, I would say, obvious truths, for you and I, because we're into like Mystery Babylon, the flat Earth, who the Jews are, who the Jews are not, and all that kind of stuff, and the Antichrist not being one person, which we should talk about because I think a lot of people are kind of getting in on that now. But that's what I was going to ask you is like, how many moments have you had in the last year or two where you're about to tell a Christian something that they know that they can't prove in the Bible, and it, like just before you're about to basically ruin their whole life, kind of thing.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
how
hey,
often
look,
does that
man.
happen?
I would say literally, I would say probably 98% of the time when I engage with somebody in a topic dealing with the scriptures, and this is not even in the last 2 years, I'm talking about, say, the last 4 or 5 years, right? When I
Yeah,
ask somebody a question, usually what I'm going to ask them, I already know the answer, but I want to test their intelligence to
yeah,
see if they know, right? Because the scriptures say to you, it's given to know more than what a man can know, right? So we're just trying to test their intelligence to see if they're on a level, right? And sometimes they might actually impress us and
yeah,
actually get something right. And I'll give an example. I was on having a discussion, which I don't know if you've seen it, but I was on with the Ancient Watchmen for like 15, 20
yeah. I
minutes,
saw
and
that.
we were
Yep,
talking with
yep.
them. And we can talk about that in a minute, but I asked them a question about hell, and I was surprised. It's like, oh, okay, well, it looks like they're actually teaching relatively the same thing that I'm teaching, right? I thought they were going to say that hell is like, which one guy said that hell doesn't exist yet, so we can deal with that. But the other guys were saying, relatively, what I was saying, right? So I was surprised, like, oh, he actually knows a little something. So,
Yeah,
sometimes you can get surprised by it, but really you just ask questions, to test their intelligence and what they know. I'll throw it back to
yeah.
you.
I'm gonna ask you about that. I think that just so you know, like I think that I would actually say what all three of you said was correct. Well, I think just to, I correct me if this is wrong, but one guy said that um, hell is like a mental state or something like that, right? And the other guy was like, no, hell is going to happen when there's the fire and lake of fire later in the last days. And it's really, I
Yeah.
don't know, to some extent, both of those are true. Like they are true because it may not be hell yet, full hell yet. Because we're still in Babylon, we got our food, we still got our, government checks or whatever people get. So it's not quite hell yet, but full hell. So that I sort of agree with in that sense that it's not necessarily hell for everybody, but the Bible certainly states that hell is physical, and then this earth is going to be burned. Like I just read in Luke, so and everywhere. So, yeah, I found that interesting, that discussion you had.
Yeah, yeah. Which, hey, man, we might have to on your page. Maybe we can do a show in a day or two about the whole Antichrist thing, because that's actually a good topic to go into,
100%.
right? And we can also address, because we brought up this before, but one of the brothers said that we should not be looking for the day of the Lord. Oh, we got Luke. Let me see, not Luke. We got Ridge on here. Ridge, what's going on, man?
Not much, man. Just been, dealing with some stuff right now. But I decided I would join for a bit.
Yeah,
Riz,
we'll
was
go
good,
for
man.
another half an hour.
Okay.
Yeah, HT, that's a good topic because I see that floating around in internet la land still, and I've done a full hangout a while ago debunking that, going through the entire book of Daniel, which is what a lot of people go to, and that's actually why I asked you that
Well,
question because
what's the
right.
topic?
The topic is a singular antichrist forming, raising up from the earth and wowing the masses. That's a very standard cookie cutter understanding of the last days that we get a lot from Christians. And so,
Oh,
well,
I thought. I thought that y'all were talking about should we be looking, towards the, the last days
Yeah,
or not.
we are sorry to cut you off, Rich, but I do want to jump in there and say yes, we were talking about that. We were just saying that on Mind of God's channel in a day or two we'll do a stream about the Antichrist so we can go full in depth on that. But yeah, I was bringing up about, because one brother asked us a week or two ago about, well, should we be looking for, the Lord to return? Should we be looking for all these calamities to happen on the earth? And
Yeah.
we told him we should. Rich, do you agree or do you disagree with that standpoint?
Well, here's the thing: how do you have any hope if you don't? I don't understand how every Christian on this earth, I mean, doesn't want the world to end right now. The world's horrible, and if
Amen.
you
Amen, dude.
yeah. Oh yeah. I thought you were saying. I thought you were asking me something. I didn't know you were
No,
saying
sorry,
amen.
I'm just agreeing with that. Sorry, go ahead. I didn't want to interrupt,
But
but
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, man. I don't know how any Christian is like that. And I might be wrong on this, but in this day and time, to me, you have to be sick in the head to bring an innocent child into this world. I mean, that's how dark everything's gotten now. And I mean, why would you?
Sorry to cut you off, but I had to throw
Yeah,
this in there. The scriptures tell you what? That woe to them that are with child in those days. Now I do know that was talking about 70 AD when you read it. I do know that already happened. However, it is double full because it's saying what back then in 70 AD. It's like woe to them that have children. But same thing today. It's going to be better to
exactly,
not have children today. And another
Dude, I
thing
got
as
a good
well
exactly.
with
one.
the
ETT,
go
I
ahead,
gotta say, I gotta quote this one, man, because you're gonna love this one.
go ahead.
It's our favorite book, 2nd Ezra 5:8. There shall be chaos also in many places. Fire shall often break out. We see that, right? Fires in California, Australia. How would the Bible know that? Listen to this: the wild animals shall roam beyond their haunts, and menstruous women shall bring forth monsters. That's what the Bible says.
Yeah, and here's the thing, man. Here's the thing. Here's the thing, man. We've always had sin and a somewhat messed up world, and we've always had evil. I mean, you can go back and look at people like Nero back in 69 AD. I guess that's what you are talking about. Because people thought he was the Antichrist back in the day. But we've always had evil, but now it's worse if you have a child. And I'm not just saying this because people always say, "Oh, we're in the end times, everything's getting bad." I'm just saying this because it's factual information. Okay, you bring a child into the world now, they're going to be met with subliminal messages all the time on television, pushing sex and materialism. They're going to be sent to schools where they're going to be indoctrinated by teachers. It's a total psychological war against them from the time they're born.
Agreed. Here's
Yeah.
another good verse, Rich. Here's a good one for you. Matthew 24:19-22. This is right from Yahushua's mouth. And woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. But pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day, for then shall be great tribulation, such as was not
Yeah.
since the beginning of the world to this time, no, never shall be. Wow.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right. Another thing to throw out there is the scriptures say what? From birth we have all went astray. Look, as soon as we were brought into this world, we went into that indoctrination. And I'll tell you, man, I was saying this in one of my videos yesterday. I don't know if you guys saw it, but I remember, being back in, preschool and kindergarten, right? The teacher would turn the lights off, she'd grab the globe and a flashlight and show us, okay, look, this is how the world spins, right? On this side of the world, the sun's on, and on the other side of the world, it's nighttime there, but then the world's gonna spin, and then it'd be daytime on that side, and then for us it'd be nighttime over there, right? This is how it works. And of course, we'd all accept that because I mean, hell, the teacher can't be wrong, right? So we all just
Whoa.
took it,
Right.
because that's what we were told. But of course, you wouldn't expect somebody who's 5 years old or so to ask a diligent question. And even if a kid was to ask a question such as, well, how does the water stick to that? How does the water not fly out anywhere? Then they'll use, that magic G word, right? Gravity. But it's
Right.
Yeah.
ironic though, because
Yeah.
if you look up the word gravity, and I'll give it to you in a second, Ridge. But if you look up the word
Mhm.
gravity, it on the internet says what? That gravity is just a theory. All right, it's not proven fact, but it's just a theory. I'll throw it back to Rich.
Yeah. That's what I love. And you have now where they're teaching certain racial things in schools, and they call it critical race theory. I mean, it's in the name. Yeah, that's what they're teaching. Kids, you can't make this up anymore. I mean, it's truth in plain sight. They literally show you how stupid you are for believing things that literally have theory, meaning it was just something that men come up with, and you're promoting it as fact. And there's always things that defy every theory, right? There's been things that have defied gravity. There's obviously things that defy critical race theory when you see gangs of colored people, ganging up and killing a white guy. There's all these theories can be easily debunked when you show, the examples that defy, what they're trying to say. Yet, schools are still teaching these, whether it's scientific theories or social theories. It's something else, man.
Yeah. And even the thing about gravity, it's like, it doesn't mean that the Earth's a ball. It just means that mass attracts mass. It doesn't mean that the Earth can't be flat. I'm not saying I believe in gravity. For people out there, because, people, I'm into numerology and all that. Sir Isaac Newton, what is his initials? Sir Isaac Newton, sin. Come on, dude. It's a wrap, man.
So
we have something
also
coming in here from the comment board. Let me just read this real quick. We have our brother here, fresh and new, a Shalom. He said, NASA scientist, excuse my stutter, named Norman Bergrun, and I hope I'm pronouncing the word correctly, said that he saw UFOs with 7-foot tall black entities in them. There's a video of him saying that in an interview. I don't know how true it is. Yeah, man, I know what you're referring to. I've seen that video a couple of times. Now, whether that's true or not, I'm not sure, but we know that according to, the scriptures, that, the UFOs are the vehicles that the angels, travel around in. And hey, look, you can see what's going on every day, especially if you're watching, what's that channel? UFO Institute, right? Which I'm sure all of us know what that is. But, hey, look, every single day, these UFOs are being sighted all over the world. And why is that? Because now the highest has begun to visit the world, right?
Ooh.
And we can get that
I got to, man. That one gives me goosebumps, man. I'll get it. You can't argue. No one can argue that this is happening soon. We don't know the day or hour, but no one can argue that this is not far away. For sure. Then we got people out here talking about preterism. Really? Come on.
Yeah.
2 Ezra 9:2. Then shalt thou understand. So this is a small group of people, that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. So somebody made this place. That's amazing, dude. God's smart, like he made this stage, he put a dome over it, put the sun, moon, put people on it.
Hey, Ridge.
Yeah.
What is your whole thoughts on the preterism? If you don't know what the word means, basically it means, the people believe that we're in Christ's kingdom today, that all the prophecies of the scriptures have been fulfilled primarily in the time of 70 AD. But they're saying that all of the books pretty much complete and we're living under Christ today. But what are your thoughts on the preterism, Rich?
I mean, just look at the world, today. And that's pretty much all I have to say. But I want to go back real quick, what we were talking about earlier, with the indoctrination and all. The thing that I never understood, as a kid in school is when they were saying that, the sun is like 300 million miles away from the Earth or something. I'm thinking,
93 million.
Yeah, I'm thinking, how do you figure that out?
That's a good question. It's all it's pseudoscience. They use sticks in the ground and shadows. It's absolutely ridiculous. You know what's funny?
Oh, and remember,
ETT, one quick point, by the way. Notice how the number that they keep citing of the people who haven't got the thing, they always say, 93 million Americans haven't gotten the thing. 93 million. It's amazing. They use signs and symbols too, because that number keeps popping up. Sorry to go ahead.
Yeah, and 9 upside down is 6, and then 3. So it's always a reference to the 666.
Exactly. Yep. If you read that backwards, it's 36.
Yeah, dealing with the whole sun thing, I just wanted to say a few words on that. You know what they'll do. Oh, excuse me, this moment. um, what about that? You know, dealing with the whole numbers, they'll sit there and say, "Well, it's a scientific fact that it's this far away." It's like, how the hell do you
Exactly.
know that this planet is, a billion light years away? How the hell do you know that? How do you know that the sun is, 93 million miles away from the world? How the hell do you know that? And another question that
Right.
you have to ask these guys is, I noticed this just yesterday. You have something called sunspots, right? Which basically on a little area where the is at, right, pretty much directly under it, there's a bright spot where the light is deliberately beating down on that little spot. You guys might have seen this before. You can pull
100%.
up
Big
pictures
time.
online.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's like, well, wait a second. How the hell could the sun be that far away? But yet we see sunspots. That shows us that
Yeah.
the sun is very close to us, right? We're not revolving around the sun, but it's the sun who is revolving around us. You know what I'm saying? So it's
You know,
just, go ahead.
exactly. And when you're young, before you're told all this stuff, you just have a common sense feeling, like,
Yeah.
if like thinking, if I could fly, or if I could climb a tree or whatever, you could basically walk up to the sun. It's you know what I mean. Like as a child, you just feel like, yeah, it's not that far away.
Yeah.
You know.
I got a verse to help just kind of lubricate this discussion, for lack of a better phrase. That's not a good term to use, but Job 30, Job 37:21. Job knew where the sun was. Listen to this. And now men see not the bright light which is in the clouds. Okay, it's local to us, but the wind
Yeah.
passeth and cleanseth them.
Yeah.
So
How did this get started? I mean, how are you going to tell me that it's 93 million miles away? How do you know?
well, Riz, this is a good question by somebody in the chat. Maybe we can go on this for a little bit. Anorexian's like, what do you believe? And you can answer this if you want. What do you believe motivates the evil men of this world? That's a great question.
Oh, and I'll answer that real quick. And that goes into the scriptures. The scriptures speak about what? Money is the root of all evil, right? Money is what motivates, and that's why you have something called a hitman, right? Somebody is willing to kill somebody just to get a bag of, say, $10,000 to $15,000, right? So
Yeah.
money is what as the saying goes, money makes the world go round, right? So that's what the scriptures speak about, right? That, hey, look, money is the root of all evil. Now that doesn't mean that money itself is deliberately evil. Oh, that's going to bring out those guys saying that money is the MLB, which we don't got to talk about that today. But but yeah, money itself isn't evil, but it's the love of the money, which is evil.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah, to
would. I
answer
would.
that, go ahead.
Yeah. I would say that I completely agree with you. And we also got to understand that deep down, these people know what their fate is going to be. That's why they
100%.
keep trying to.
100%.
That's why they keep trying to expand their lifespan, because they're scared to face what's coming to them. Whether that's through the transhumanist agenda, or even darker stuff you don't want to know about, having to do with children and everything. But they want to preserve their lifespan, because they're scared of what's going to happen to them. Deep down, they're just
Yeah.
trying to buy time.
And this is why they're spending billions of dollars on these underground facilities, right? So when everything goes say SHTF mode up here, they can just go to those facilities and they can live down there, in their minds, as long as they need until everything clears up, then they can come right back up here. And that's even in the scriptures. It says what? That when
Yeah,
Christ returns, the rich man of the earth are going to see the Lord and go into the caves of the mountains, which represents what? These places that they have built for themselves to hide in, right? These doomsday bunkers, so they know something's going on, right? That's why they're planning these things, right? And if you do the research on it, even the average, say middle class citizen, they know something's going on too. That's why within the last 2 years, the number of people who is buying these doomsday bunkers to put in the ground, the number has went up like by 50 or 60% over the last 2 years. Everyone can
yeah,
look into that, but yeah, they definitely know that something's up. They know that Yahweh Shai is about to return, and that's why they're getting these people out here deceived with these alien things,
Right.
right? These
Right.
UFOs, so everyone knows to fight against them when they come, because they're going to think that
exactly.
those are little green men coming to enslave the world, but they're actually the Lord and His angels on that. I'll throw it to mine of God.
Dude, I got a verse related to anorexian's question, which is outstanding. This does not contradict what was said earlier, but just to understand the vantage point that ETC and I regularly harp on people, this verse and many verses explains what's going on. Revelation 17:17, for people to understand that 7:7, that's a righteous judgment. But also, if you add that together, it's 34, 444, 666. Listen to this. For God hath put in their hearts to fulfill his will, and to agree and to give their kingdom unto the beast. Listen to this, until the words of God shall be fulfilled. So God is behind the evil. He's doing it. We can't say that enough. We say that to comfort people, because then the evil is a prescription. You know how we get a prescription when we go to the doctor? We don't get too much than what we need. So that's what it is. You know, we have to ask for mercy, but it's from God. It's everywhere in the Bible. That's just one verse that we could find, but that's what motivates the leaders of the earth. And we can also read Proverbs 21:1, which is extremely important. People come by my channel still to this day saying, oh, Biden's evil, Biden's evil. Really? The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord as the rivers of water. He turneth it whithersoever he will. So God's behind that. So that's the way it is.
Oh, another thing I wanted to throw out there for you guys real quick is these Christians, I always listen to what they have to say, especially when I was, coming up in this thing.
Yeah.
Because my family were Christians, all their friends. So I would listen to what they talk about, and when they see these things happen in the world, they'll say, oh yeah, well these, let's pray for all these people, right? These are terrible things, right? Satan is, going around doing all these things in the world. Let's pray. Like with the whole thing that's going on now, the whole narrative.
Yeah, exactly.
They were like, well, let's pray to Jesus to get everything back to normal. And look what happened. And I'm talking about when the first, say, 2 or 3 weeks when it first happened, they were like, oh, well, like, say, for an example, my mother worked at a school, right? So they were all like, well, let's pray to Jesus so that maybe 2 months from now or next month, we all can go back to school again and see each other, right? And hey, look, here we are almost 2 years later, and Jesus didn't do nothing about it. Jesus wants all this, right?
Exactly.
Christ wants this to happen. First of all, Christ said, what? Think not that I come to bring peace on earth. I have not come to bring peace, but I come to bring division. And the church will never read that, because that goes against that Jesus that the church is teaching. Hey, look, we're telling you the truth. We're telling you what? Hey, look, when Christ returns, if you're not on his right side,
you're done.
All right, then your ass is grass, for lack of better words.
Yeah.
Okay, look, Christ is going to get busy on these people out here, man, and Christ can't wait. That's what is that? Isaiah the 63rd chapter, right? Christ said, the day of vengeance burns in my heart. And then also in the book of Luke, it said what? Bring my enemies before me and slay them before me, right? So we're out here telling the people the truth. That, hey, look, you have time to get right now. But, hey, look, if you don't, well, then when Christ returns, well, then hey, look, that's going to be it. I'll throw back to mine again.
Here's a good verse to back that up. Ezekiel 14:21. For thus says the Lord God, how much more when I send upon Jerusalem my 4 disastrous acts of judgment, sword, famine, wild beasts, and pestilence, to cut off from it man and beast. So this God is behind this quote unquote plague that we're seeing right now, without a doubt. Without a doubt, all we can ask for is mercy at this point. What else? Who can we go to for help? It's amazing.
Yeah, and whenever it comes down to it, as you were talking about with, false Christianity or whatever, it's going too far. It's like apostasy now. You have preachers saying, that God supports abortion.
Wow.
And
not only that, Ridge, I just had to add this on to your statement, then I'll let you continue. But not only that, but going back to what I was speaking about earlier, I know pastors out there who they say that God loves these cross-dressers, right? God loves these rainbow. They said, oh, Jesus loves these people, right? We're not supposed to offend them, right? These are the same people who will sit on TV and they'll watch these drag queen videos. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? But they'll say, oh, Jesus loves these people. Reg, I'll throw back to you.
I ended up reading an article talking about God supporting abortion, and it's the dumbest logic I've ever read. It's almost like, I don't even know how this person wrote this, but he basically said God supports abortion because God gave us free will. and gives us a choice to do things. And
Wow.
So I guess we can apply that to murder, rape, everything else. I mean, it at least use some kind of decent logic. That's the
Exactly.
dumbest thing ever.
Exactly. I got a good
one
one
of
for
the-
you,
the-
Rich. Rich, I got a good one for you. Psalms 5:5. The foolish shall not stand in thy sight. Thou hatest all workers of iniquity.
Exactly. And one of the better arguments I've heard for, God supporting abortion is like some thing about a woman cheating. And if it turns out she cheated and it's not the guy's baby, like the priest will have the woman have a miscarriage. They're bringing up some Old Testament verse, but obviously that's probably taken out of context. I mean, I can pull a verse just saying, before you were formed in the womb, I knew you.
Yeah.
But I really don't know what they're referencing there or what the context is of
Not the
the whole
Bible. Not the Bible. That's for sure. Yeah, for sure. I'll read this in Proverbs 6:16. I think people, this is very clear. Okay. Proverbs 6. I'll get this better translation. Proverbs 6:16. These 6 things doth the Lord hate. Yea, 7 are an abomination on him. Listen to this: a proud look, a lying tongue, and hands that shed innocent blood. How much more innocent is a baby that's not even born yet? And a heart that deviseth wicked imaginations. Feet that be swift in running to mischief, a false witness that speaketh lies, and he that soweth discord among brethren. So
exactly.
Yeah.
But it's unbelievable what the church has come to now. But it's like these preachers, these progressive Christians, they don't realize it, but they're actually just fulfilling their part in the Bible. You can't change their minds. You can't wake these people up. They're literally under a mass deception by God Himself.
Yeah, exactly. They're not reasonable. That's the scary about people in the times that we live in now. Okay, we don't know the Bible's true 100%, but if people are not considering it now, then they'll never consider it because it's just everything about it is true. So
yeah, and whenever it comes to progressive Christianity, I hate how they use the word progressive because they're not wanting to change things in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me being, I think there is some things that obviously needed to change, within within Christianity. Like, I still can't believe it's 2021 and we still have people that think like, just listening to heavy metal is satanic in general without listening to the lyrics. Or we have people saying that interracial marriage is a sin or whatever. I mean, but
we have just to add to that, we have our one friend, Faithful Servants of Christ, which I'm looking to bring him on the show, but he teaches that interracial marriage is a sin. So I asked him a question and said, well, what about the law in the scriptures that says when an Israelite man goes to war, and it says what if he sees among the captives a beautiful woman, he can take her to be his wife. So I asked him, oh, wait a second, then doesn't that count as interracial marriage? Because those people look different than the Israelites oftentimes. And then if that's not enough, what about King Solomon? It said Solomon had 700 wives, right, and 300 concubines. But wait a second, the wives he had, many of them were from other nations. So wait a second, was Solomon also in sin? And then what they do is they say, well, Solomon's sin was because he slept with women of the other nations. That's not true. If you read it, it said Solomon went off because he followed the gods of the other nations. Right, so his sin wasn't interracial marriage. Just to throw that out there in case anybody was wondering.
And so that's the kind of progress that I was I think is good. The church changing its belief on stuff like interracial marriage, or thinking that you have to listen to traditional hymns, you can't listen to new Christian music. I mean, some of that's too far, but I mean, when it comes to this kind of nonsense that God supports abortion, this isn't progress. This is
not at all.
A bunch of demonic, satanic stuff.
But the fact that we see how ridiculous it is actually makes the decision of choosing God easy. That's what I love about the times. Like, it's so easy because the Christian church is completely sold out. D. Kuhn, you just got to give D. Kuhn, like maybe a free nightclub, with he'll go there and just coon all night or whatever. Like, it's so bad, but like, you know, it really shows that God only really is dealing with individuals, you know,
Yeah,
like small groups.
and I want to say something else about faithful servants, because I got an argument with him about interracial marriage, and I said I cited the verse that says we're all one in Christ, and I said that should be evidence that it doesn't matter what color you are, you can marry whoever you want. And somebody one of the stands commented, so that means that that means that two men or two women can get married too. And it's like that no, that's what I mean.
Oh, and
Yeah,
another
no, that's
thing
that's
I
what they're
wanted to
getting
throw.
at. They're eventually going to say that. Oh no, then an animal, you can marry an animal. No, but it's like, who knows where this would go if it wasn't cut short for the alexic. Go ahead,
But
ETT. Go
let's
ahead.
not forget this stuff. Let's not forget this part, because remember, I was on with I don't know if you guys see the video I put up 2 days ago. I was talking to what's that guy? Zealots of Israel. I asked him about Romans 13, and he said it applies to this kingdom today. So what he was really doing is saying that government is God's minister. So I asked him, it's like, okay, well, what if they say that you have to engage in the act of bestiality then? Hey, look, I could come on and say, hey, look, brother, you got to do it then, because, hey, look, that's God's minister. If you don't obey him, well, then you're in sin then, because that's God's minister. So you have to obey him. So you see, when you bring up that, then it all changes. But as far as
Yeah,
other laws of the land, they'll just go along with that, right? They'll all go along with that. If Esau says to let people be rainbowed, oh, well, we can all go with that because that's God's minister. We got to obey them. But then if they tell you that you got to engage in those acts, well, then that's different, though. That part's different. You know what I'm saying, my guy? What do you
I
think
don't
about
remember
that?
him saying that. I got to watch that again, dude. Okay, maybe I missed that part. I definitely caught the hell piece, but man, if he's doing that, then he's absolutely lost in the sauce. That's
Oh, it's
crazy.
not that guy. It's somebody else.
Oh, okay, because I wasn't sure if that was on that hangout where you're talking about hell, with those two or three other guys. Um, but
Hey,
yeah, I mean,
Rich.
yeah, that's
yeah.
crazy.
Sorry to cut you off, man. Sorry to cut you off. Oh, wait a second. We have LOP in the chat. Hey, LOP, if you want to join for a couple minutes, you're welcome. I'm only gonna go for maybe 20 more minutes here, because as I said, I do got to watch my time. If Mine of God is available, maybe we could tomorrow or the next day we could go do a stream on his page. Man, are you available tomorrow or the next day?
So my one that's coming up this weekend is my last allotment for my hours, and then it resets on the 28th. That's why I scheduled it on
Okay.
Saturday.
Hey,
But
hey guys,
Okay.
I don't mean to cut you off, but I'm about to leave. But thanks for having me on, guys. Hopefully we can do a longer stream, where I can join early.
yeah,
Yeah,
Rich, just to
absolutely.
explain the end times, a good verse. You already know this one probably. 2 Timothy 3:13. But evil men and seducers shall wax worse and worse, deceiving and being deceived. So
Yep.
we're
Amen,
living in
man.
it. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yep.
Yeah, Rich, thanks for joining us tonight, man. And as I said, LOP, if you want to join, let me put a fresh link in the chat real quick. And as I said, man, if you don't want to come on today, that's fine. We're only going to go for another 20 minutes or so. Let's see.
But
Bear
dude,
with me a moment.
what's a not fresh link? How would you put a dirty link, for example? Like, how does that work? Like when Decoon
Well,
says that.
I suppose that is a good point.
All praises, all praises, all praises, all praises.
Oh, and I saw that the Sakari, they were live, just I think maybe a half an hour before I went live. And if you go on there, they got 600 people watching, 500 people
Yeah,
watching, sometimes 1,000 people
really.
watching. So that shows you, man. Hey, look, they're what they're doing is they're just capturing the minds of the people, right? Saying things, smooth words to them, right? They're not
Yeah.
coming out like GMS, giving the raw truth. They're being emotional with the scriptures and just saying things to make people feel good. That's what they're doing. I'll throw back
Dude,
to you.
I'm actually planning to probably live stream more. You know how I was kind of burnt out and took a retirement or whatever? Like,
Right.
I may actually pay a StreamYard, and then because we should just flood the internet, man. Like, this is the
Oh,
time. Just
absolutely.
flood the thing. Yeah, it's
Hey,
amazing, man.
hey, man. Look, I of course will say do that, man. Pay that money. I believe it's like what, $20, $30 for unlimited time. But yeah, man, we should do as many streams, as many shows as possible. Why? Because we can interact with the audience, get more people, into this thing, right, and fill those elect spots even faster, right, to
Right.
bring about this thing even more. So, right, so the more work we do, the closer that day will come, by us bringing more people into this knowledge of these scriptures, right? So the more we do, the better the outcome, right? And even for us too, right? Because we're putting up for ourselves spiritual gifts in the
100%.
kingdom by
100%.
doing this work. And I mean, what the hell else is there to do anyway? You know what I'm saying?
Gonna say that. I was literally just gonna say that. It's like, what else in these times is there to do but flex our quote unquote spiritual muscle, so to speak? I got a verse to back you up on what they're doing over at Sakari with those big numbers that you're talking about. This is a good one. Isaiah 39-13. This is this is a rebellious people, lying children that will not hear the law of the Lord. Listen to this, verse 10, which say to their seers, see not, and to the prophets, prophesy not unto us right things, but listen to this, speak unto us smooth things, prophesy deceits. So that's what's going on, with a lot of these people. It's not a numbers thing, verse
Hey,
11.
we got sorry to cut you off, mine
That's fine.
I'll let you
That's fine.
continue, but we also have LOP on here with us now.
Welcome, man. We always like having new people, man. What's up, dude?
Let me see. You might have to unmute your mic.
Yeah, and just mute your watch page if you're watching this as well. That's something to do.
Yeah, he might be new to it or something. It might take a couple times to get used to, man. So, as I said, you should see a microphone on there. If you click that, it should allow you to speak.
I got 3 words for the viewers while LOP gets set up. This is it. That's all I got to say, folks. Let me finish Isaiah 30 while he's getting set up. This is great. This is a good verse. Get you out of the way, turn aside out of the path, cause the Holy One of Israel to cease from before us. Listen to verse 12. This is relevant to the times that we live in now. Wherefore, thus saith the Holy One of Israel, because ye despise this word and trust in oppression and perverseness and stay thereon. Therefore, this iniquity shall be on you as a breach ready to fall, swelling out in a high wall, whose breaking cometh suddenly at an instant. Poof. That can't be far away.
Yeah. Let me just see real quick. All right. Let me just read real quick. He said the mic is not muted. I don't know why it doesn't work. On my end, the mic is not muted. All right. Let's do this. Leave the chat real quick and then click the link on again, and that should work. Mighty God, do you know any other reason why it might not work?
No, I would just say kick him and then let him come back in. I would just say if you are joining from your phone, maybe just try a different browser because it gives me 3 options. Safari or whatever, Chrome or whatever. Just try another one, whichever one you didn't use.
Yeah. So here, I'll remove him from the show. So just go ahead and click that link again, and then it should let you on. All right. I know that happened to me a few times when I first started to use the StreamYard, right? So it just takes a couple times to get used to it. All right. And as I said, man, we'll definitely have you on longer, for another day. We'll definitely arrange that. And I believe you. Are you the one who reached out to me? Because I know a couple people reached out to me, so I'm not sure exactly who all they are. All right, but you might have been one who reached out to me on the on my Gmail, right? I know you wanted to talk with us about something. Not sure the topic though, but yeah, man. If you can come on with us now, that'd be good. If you can get it all up and working.
But ETT,
right,
quick question for you. I've asked you this
Go
again,
ahead.
but just something to consider. If this is the mark, we know what I'm talking about. In your understanding, that there's no prophecies left, right?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Wow, man. Damn, dude. Amazing. I was thinking about doing a full live stream on that and leaving the topic open for any Christian or any religious person to come by and challenge me, or if you want to join the panel and say, find us, and like literally they can, even if they're almost joking, put a verse in there and tell us, and then state that hasn't happened yet, and then we can refute it. That would be a fun hangout, because I would love to hear what people think still needs to happen prior to Christ's second coming.
Matter of fact, so isn't here yet. The locusts have to go around killing people. It just so much. Let me just see. We got LOP here in the chat. LOP, can you hear us? Maybe do you have headphones plugged in? Damn, I'm not sure why
That's
his
strange that
isn't
he can
working.
connect, but we can't hear him. Normally, like when you get this far, it works.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. Let me see. Maybe what he can do is maybe watch a tutorial on YouTube about how to connect, and they might be able to tell him that, a microphone issue that he might have, and he can maybe address it. So that might work. Other than that, I'm not sure why, we're not able to hear him, because I'm looking on, let me check real quick. Yeah, his microphone's on. It's on, so
Yeah,
I'm not
exactly.
sure. I'm not sure what's going on there.
Oh, what about now? What about now?
Here we go.
Yeah, we hear you. We hear you.
Because I had like a settings and I have like different kind of microphones on my computer. So I set the wrong microphone before, I guess. Now it works, I guess. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Oh, cool. So it works now. That's good, right? Yeah. Um, yeah. So this is like you're discussing some of the scriptures today.
Let's see. We just did a show for 2 hours. We were just talking. I'm gonna
Yeah.
go for another 20. I'm gonna go for another 20 minutes because we do want to talk with you. But as I said, you know, I will arrange a day for when we can bring you on and we can have a whole 2 hour discussion with you. But for tonight, we'll keep it relatively short because we just were live for a while. But yeah, man, we'll definitely gonna bring you on again to have a whole another 2 hour discussion with us where we
Oh
can
yeah.
go deeper into it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's better for me anyway because it's like 3:40 a.m. right now, so I should get to sleep in 20 minutes anyway. So,
Where are you, LOP? Roughly on Flat Earth. Don't give your address or anything, but what country?
Central Europe is Central Europe time, so like it's from the UK is -1 hour. I'm in
Cool.
like near Germany.
Right on. That's
Yeah.
cool. Welcome, man. Yeah, we talk about the Bible. We are people who believe we're living in the last days. What is your general thoughts on that?
I I I really think we are in the last days, but then again, like people were claiming that back in 2008. So I'm like, are the last days so long? You know what I mean? It's kind of weird, but right now it really seems the very last days. Then, if that's the case,
Well,
you
something
know,
real quick. Sorry to cut you off, LOP. I do agree with you because even when you read the Gospels, right, even the apostles thought that at that time, right, when Christ appeared to them, they thought that in that time the kingdom was going to come, right, but they didn't
Right.
know, it
that's
was going to
true.
be time in the future, right. So I do agree with you on that. And as I said earlier in the show, you got people saying, "Oh, well, people have been saying that for thousands of years, so there's no difference now." But hey, the one thing that is
That's
different
right.
for us is we're seeing the signs happen. Back then, it might have been here's 1 month, there's an earthquake, a year later, there's another one. But no, today, all these things are happening on top of each other at the same time. So that
Yeah,
shows us
it's
that we got to be in this.
mhm.
Throw back to you.
Yeah, it's really getting worse and worse with all these. I mean, all over the world, you have the natural disasters and wars and you know yeah, kind of like the Jesus last days kind of prophecy, right? But
Yeah, it's a very unique time, I would say, in human
yeah,
history, for sure.
yeah, it's crazy. It's getting crazier by the minute. I mean, too.
Yeah,
Are you
yeah.
are you guys in lockdown, LOP, or like what's your ability to
Hey,
move around?
hey,
We're not
hey,
allowed. We're not allowed to
yeah,
say the word, so don't say the
uh,
word. Just you know what I'm saying? Just because the
oh, okay,
algorithm
yeah,
is sensitive.
no,
Yeah.
no, not at lockdown right now. We were last time the lockdown was, I believe, in last winter, but right now
Okay.
there is not really a lockdown. There are still some like restrictions as far as traveling, but no
Yeah.
lockdowns. Like you can basically travel around the country, which my country is very small, so it kind of sucks. But other than that, it's fine. Uh,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, we don't
But
have any here right now, but now
oh,
I
okay.
just
Where
saw
are you
I saw
guys
a
at?
video. We're both in the U.S. But I saw a video earlier that there's another strain, you know, and all that. So we don't know. Yeah.
Actually I heard that New Zealand is in like a level 4 lockdown, which like they had it pretty bad. But I kind of researched about it. There's like only like 20 people that are whatever, you know, and and it's weird that they would lock down the whole country, and it's a big country. You know, only 4 million people, 4.5 million people, and I just don't get it. It kind of seems weird, all this situation. But yeah, I heard about the new. Yeah, no problem.
Sorry to jump topics. Just a quick question on the shape of the Earth. Would you consider yourself a flat earther? Are you familiar with people who believe the Earth is flat?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I've researched about it a long time ago, and recently I watched some long documentary on the whole thing again. But first time I heard about it was like 2015, and also researched the concavers and stuff. But I'm not really like, I don't know for 100% what is the real, uh, you know, shape of the Earth. But
yeah.
So, but I know the arguments for both, like for all the main, theories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just wondering because a lot of people are coming back to the Bible. I would say me for sure because of that. So just wondering if you came across this channel.
Yeah. The Bible. I mean, yeah, from the Bible, like I know some from concave Christians. He believe that the Bible points more to kind of concave Earth, and I don't know if I can see more the flat Earth from the biblical standpoint, but some verses are a bit vague, you know, in that sense. Like the one he refers to is like the
LOP.
Isaiah. You can call me
just
Joseph, by the way. Okay, and my name is
Joseph.
Yeah.
Okay, Joseph. I just wanted to ask real quick.
Sure.
I do get a lot of emails, so I don't necessarily remember the topics you wanted to address, which we're not going to go deep onto it here because, as I said, we can definitely arrange on another day a longer show where we can talk for an hour or two. That'd be fine. But just so I know, what were the topics that you did want to discuss with us, just so I know in advance for next time that we talk?
No, actually, we didn't talk through email. We did exchange comments on your video, and I said, like, for me, any topic is fine, really, but it would have to do, like, with the scriptures, because I do, like, that's one of my main interests, researching the Bible and stuff. So, but the topic is kind of up to you. I said in the comments, and you said, like, all right, you know, and like you can choose the topic, and I can be like, yeah, you know, we can talk about this kind of stuff or that kind of stuff, you know.
Well, if you're into the Bible, you've come to the right place because ETT and I, it's our favorite topic. So welcome.
Yeah, it's mine too, because like in terms of like the flat Earth, I really like, I'm not an expert on every, you know, details of that, or the concrete Earth. Also, I cannot say I understand all the things about it. So it would be, yeah, the Bible. But the Bible, like I've been reading since like 2007. So many times I've read it, actually. So So I don't know. Even some of the extra biblical books and stuff. So
that's good. That's really good.
I never read the Quran like in its entirety. I read like portions of it though. Like so, as far as other religion, you know, other like holy books, you know, I read some of the other ones too, but not really. You know, the Bible is really one thing I know the most of the.
Hey, Joseph, I got a question for you.
Sure.
What is your standpoint on the topic of let's say hell? What do you think hell is when you read it in the Bible?
Well, Well, from my experience, um, like I always, or in the recent years, I feel like this life is already hell. But from but from the biblical standpoint, you know, I mean, it's pretty clear, but like the lake of fire in the Revelation, right? And then for the devil and his fallen angels, right? But also those that you know, yeah, and yeah, it's a bit hard to topic the hell, but I feel like this life is already hell, like a punishment for something we did. Like there's my friend is he believes in this kind of thing that I kind of agree with because he says like this life is already like a punishment for what we did before, like before we were born or something, which seems a bit outlandish, but like why then this like seems like a punishment already? You know what I mean? Like if we didn't do something,
Yeah.
before we. So you get my point, right? Because my life is really like it's full of suffering and shitty stuff, and
Yeah.
I deal with a lot of depression, mental illness, whatever, and it's really not pleasant, at least definitely not the last 10 years or so. It's been getting worse since my experience in 2008, which
Does
that's
the
a long
Bible
story.
does the
And
Bible comfort you? Even with all this difficulty or whatever. Not to get too personal, but do you
yeah, I
find the
mean,
Bible comforting?
it used to a lot, like especially a few years after my experience, which was kind of a really big experience. It's the biggest thing or the most important thing in my life, which was 2008. But after that, it really comforted me at least until 2015 or maybe even 2017. But then after that, I was kind of, you know, I kind of knew already everything, and I did I was getting confronted by other things more after that point, which is not to say that I don't really find comfort in the Bible anymore, because I always like remember in my mind, because I know the Bible really well, so I always like when I'm in a dark situation, I always recall some of the Bible verses or
Nice.
what the Christ said, and that does help me for sure, but it's not anymore that I would like read the Bible every day like I used to. I used to do it like every day, but now not anymore. But I still remember, like I read it probably probably 9 times. So it's not like I need to look up something because I already remember most of it anyway. So and the main point. Um,
Well, it's good you
yeah,
came here because ETT is the notorious BIG of the scripture. So you will learn a lot.
notorious VIG. I like that. I
That's
like
why
that.
I come here to learn from him. That's it.
I
So
don't
just
know much about Notorious B.I.G. He was like a
he's a rapper,
uh,
just so you
I,
know.
yeah, I
Yeah.
know he was a rapper, but I don't know really like was he religious or
No, not at all. 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 No.
Yeah,
I know like he's
we're just
connected
joking
to
around.
Tupac, right? He's connected
Yeah,
to
exactly.
Tupac
Exactly.
and Nicki Minaj or something.
He calls himself Biggie just because he eats too many like unhealthy foods. It's not really
Yeah,
about
and
the
he was
Bible.
and he was really like one of those that started the whole thing with the gold chains and
Yeah, exactly.
stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. Yeah,
Exactly.
I'm actually in terms of music, I'm a big fan of more like heavy metal music, progressive kind of rock or heavy metal,
Yeah.
and that because they had really like even spiritual lyrics in a way that the old school rock didn't have. It was mostly about just partying and drugs, but
Yeah.
the heavy metal took it to another level, like more spiritual, even uh, it's just interesting in a lyrical sense, as well
Agreed.
as the musical virtuosity is really good in, especially heavy metal and progressive rock style. So, but anyway, yeah.
Yeah, music's changed. It's become demonic, but there's still spiritual lessons, even if it's demonic. We just don't do that. But music has definitely changed over the years,
Mm-hmm.
without a
Yeah,
doubt.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Real quick. I just want to jump in real quick. I'll let you guys talk for another 5 minutes, but then I do gotta cut it short because it is getting late for me here. But yeah, LOP. As I said, just put on the notification, man, because we do want to bring you on, and we can have a whole 2-hour discussion.
Yeah,
Just to go ahead and send me an email on my Gmail. If you go to my channel and go to the About section, you'll find my Gmail there. Just send me a message and we can arrange a day and a time, when you're
sure.
available, and we can have a whole, say hour and a half, 2-hour, discussion together. We can certainly do that. You can pick the topics if you have any in particular you'd like to discuss with us. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
will do that.
I am going to have to cut it short in a minute here just because I do want to be sensitive of my time here because I only allowed a certain amount. But yeah, I'll let you, Joseph. I'll let you say your last stuff that you want to say on here. Then I'll let mine of God, and then we'll call it the show. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, I'll definitely send you an email. Yeah, the reason why I missed this at 1 p.m. or 1 a.m. is that I didn't open my YouTube. I got really stuck in one conversation on Facebook with this one guy. But anyway, but I'll email you and we can talk about scheduling another time that would be longer than this time. Yeah, I'm sorry that I missed it from
Oh,
the
that's all right,
beginning.
man. You're fine. That's totally fine, man. It's no problem. We had someone else on before you. We were
Oh, okay.
talking to as well. So yeah, man, it's no problem. You're all cool, man. You're welcome back anytime. But yeah, mind of God, if you're able to, can you re-upload this on your page so we can get more people to view this if you don't mind?
Yeah, this one was an outstanding stream, man. And I don't know, maybe the world's ready for an ETT versus TMOG round 3. When it was we've
Oh
done 2,
man.
right? We've done
Yeah,
2.
hey, look, man. We got
It's cut out, man. We can't hear you.
Yeah, you did cut out, didn't
I
I
think he's
think
hosting this on his phone. Yeah, now we can hear you, man. The whole last part we got cut out. So
yeah, I was saying that yeah, man, that'll be great, man. We can do a whole nother debate because I remember we did 2 before. I believe we did one 3 years ago or something like that.
yeah, dude, you
So
look like. And I look back at you now. You do look like you were about 15 years old, dude. You look like, yeah. So you've grown, matured. Maybe it's time for a round 3. But what I might do on Saturday is do my lesson, and then I'll open up a panel if people want to chat, and all that. So join me for that for people. My channel, just search the Mind of God or whatever.
Hey, by
And
the way,
yeah.
sorry. By the way, the mind of God, your profile avatar is really cool. Cool picture,
I
man.
stole that from Google Images years ago. So
Yeah,
I
but
wish
it
I could say
looks
I came up with it. Yeah.
right. But it looks awesome. Yeah, it's yeah, like
yeah, mind of
the
God,
brain is like God.
I
Yeah.
saw one of when I was
or
profile picture, and I was like, oh, wait a second, I remember that picture from somewhere. That's mind of God's profile picture. So yeah, you took that from the Google. But yeah, that's a good picture on there, man.
But
That
if
does
I could
fit
go back in time, I would
your
call
name
myself
perfectly. And I
End
remember,
Times
what was
Teacher.
it? Reg also has a brain on his profile picture as well.
Yeah.
well, I wanted to say one more thing that actually goes along with this kind of picture because like, if you know the band Tool, they have this album called Laterals, and the artwork there is really like a human with a brain, and inside the brain is like you have the brain like in anatomy of the body, right? And inside the brain you have there's it's hidden, the word God is inside the brain, so it's not really like this one, but it's really like a cool thing that they did as well. It's a similar concept as this image actually, but
Yeah.
it's more like looking like the anatomy of the human body. But it's
Yeah.
still the word God is hidden in there. It's kind of clever. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, you should come by, man. If you're into the Bible, you know, that's pretty much we have almost all that we talk about. And ET and I, we have a love for the Bible. It's led us to slightly different places, but definitely come by my stream or, you know, this one again or whatever, man. We'll chop it up. It'll be fun.
Yeah, I'll you know, I'll definitely do that. Yeah, it's yeah, I'm more about the Bible. I'm more about like music and the Bible as well. But yeah, yeah.
All right, ETT, I'll sign off, man.
All right.
We'll talk soon, I'm
All right.
sure. I'll be close.
All right, sounds
Peace.
good, man. Sounds good. So yeah, thank you for stopping by. LOP, as I said, you know, we'll definitely, you know, reach out to me and we will arrange, you know, another day to do a full, you know, maybe 2-hour discussion with you. And as I said, you know, think about some topics you'd like to discuss, and we can, you know, definitely do that. But you know, I'm gonna end the show here
Yeah,
for
I'll drop you
tonight.
an email, man. So it's we'll
All right,
we'll
sounds good.
All right, man. All right.
All right, thanks for stopping by, man.
Sure. Okay. Take care, man.
You too, man.
Bye.
So let's see. Anyway, um, so hey, what's that guy? Just like the what's that guy? The Flat Earth Man, right? If anybody watches his show, he's like, well, folks, that's the end of the show. It's like, all right, so I mean, hey, this is gonna be the end of the show. Okay, so we had a pretty good show tonight. We had a couple guests on. You know, a couple topics, which you know we usually go over them, but you know, it's always you know, good to refresh our minds, you know, because that's how you memorize things is by, you know, going over it multiple times, right? You have something also called muscle memory, right? That's why, you know, say for an example, if you know, shoot, right? If you're a shooter, you know, eventually you're going to get used to it. So you're going to know how to reload and how to do it quickly without even really thinking about it, right? It's called muscle memory. Um, but, you know, that's also what we want to, you know, increase is our memory, right? So we can remember and quote scriptures, you know, even better, you know, which, hey, look, I know I would say a good 500 to 1,000 off the top of the head, but, you know, hey, look, there's always room for improvement, right? There's always room to improve, okay, and that goes for all of us, okay? But anyway, um, let me see. Creation Bear said, thanks for the show, ETT. Shout out to the panel. Hey, yeah, Creation Bear. Hey, look, man, next time if you want to jump onto the show, you're certainly welcome to join us onto the show, man. Okay, you're welcome on anytime. I think I see a chariot over the distance. Anyway, you know, I'm gonna cut the show short here tonight. I shouldn't say short because we've been going for about 2.5 hours, but I am gonna let it play off to exactly 2 hours and 30 minutes just because of my OCD. Look that word up if you don't know what that means. Um, but you know, yeah, I just want to real quick say, you know, if there's anybody who is listening and you're watching after the stream, go ahead and put hashtag. Let's see, go ahead and put hashtag um ETT, hashtag ETT in the comment section down below if you're watching after the stream, just to see if anybody made it this far into the show. I also would like to say, if anybody would like to have a discussion with I myself, you know, or the mind of God, just reach out to me on Gmail. You can go to my about section on my page, and you can find my Gmail there. Go ahead and send me a message on there, and we can definitely arrange a time for you to join us on the panel, and we can discuss whatever topic you know, please to discuss. All right, so I just want to put that out there because I know some guys have been asking me if they'd like to have, you know, I'd like to do a discussion with them. So yeah, you know, just to put that out there, if anybody's wants to do a discussion, just hit me up, send me a Gmail message, and we will you know, work with you, and we'll do a show. Okay, your topics, whatever you like is welcome. And also, Mind of God put a link to his channel in the chat. Go subscribe to him. We do shows on his page as well. Um, so let's see. I'm not sure if I'm going to be doing another show tomorrow night. Um, but we'll see. All right, we might do a show tomorrow if I'm in the mood to do one. Um, but we'll see. Okay, we'll see. Gonna end the show in a minute here. I just wanted to address real quickly that and I said this at the beginning of the show, but it has to be said again that you know, we have future shows coming up, such as we're gonna bring what's that coon? Faithful Servants of Christ. We're gonna bring him on here and have a discussion with him. He teaches that. Babylon is Vatican City, that, you know, everyone can be saved, that interracial marriage is a sin, that Jesus is a white man, that, you know, oh, that there's a place called hell, and, you know, many other heresies that he teaches. So he, you know, we reached out to him, and, you know, very soon we're going to do a show with him for a good hour or two. So be on the lookout for that, which probably be in the next couple of weeks, as he has a bad schedule at the moment. So, that's one show that is coming up in the near future. Another one as well is a brother who reached out to me. I believe his name is More Than a Flame. He wants to come on to the show and discuss the topic of partial preterism, right? Which he doesn't call himself a preterist, but it's like partial, right? That there's some things that haven't happened, but a lot of it has happened. Okay, so he wants to come on to the show and have a debate with us, you know, about that, about partial preterism. Okay, so you know, hey, you know, we're definitely going to be doing that sooner than later. So be on the lookout for that. So so yeah, you know, I'm going to end the show. Oh, let's see. Mighty God said we need a good servant and ETT dialogue as soon as possible. Oh, absolutely. Which me and good servant, I reached out to him and asked, "Hey man, do you want to do a show?" And he's basically like, you know, he's just playing around, right? He's, which I'll give him this. He's being very friendly with me. But when I try to join on the stream, he just tells me, "Well, I can't bring you on here." It's like all I'm trying to do is be friendly with him. So hey, look, I reached out to him. I told him, "Hey, look, man, let's have a civil discussion." All right. Say, hey, look, I'm all down for it. So hey, listen, everybody, go on Good Servant's page and tell him to have a friendly discussion with ETT, so we can get him motivated to do that. We just want to have a civil discussion with the brother for the channel. Oh, and yeah, by the way, I did talk to him, you know, voice to voice before. We did speak. I called him up one day. We talked. Sounds like a very nice guy, right? I disagree with you know, his standpoint on the scriptures, but he sounds like a very nice person, right? Very respectable and likable guy. I'll give him that. All right. I really do believe that he's very genuine with his statements. I will absolutely give him that. Okay. So you know, anyway, I am gonna end the show off with that for tonight. If anybody made it this far into the video, put hashtag ETT in the comment section down below. And yeah, you know, put on that bell notification so you're notified the next time we go live. If anybody also has any topic recommendations you'd like us to discuss, just hit me up in the comment section down below, or send us a Gmail message and we will address it. So anyway, that being said, I'm of course going to end off by giving all praises to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai, for this truth. And in the words of the Deacon, have a good night.